everyone. Smithy, my good mate.
Hello and welcome to Soccer M and Football Daily's live coverage of Alternative Deadline Day. We are going to be with you until 10 o'clock tonight, giving you all the breaking transfer news as well as covering 7 Premier League games. I'm Adam Smith, and joining me on our panel, first up, it is Arsenal captain and former England international, 140 caps for England, and my good friend Alex Scott. Alex, how are you?
We are good friends, Smithy, aren't we? Yeah, I've missed you.
I've missed you too. Where you been?
Oh, look. It's already started.
This
is going to be a great show.
It's going to be a great show. Stay with us. And also, 2 other friends, I'll get with them as well, from Football Daily, Chris Hamill, Pritchard Van Straten. How are you guys? Thank you for joining us.
That was believable when you said that.
You're all right.
Yeah,
I'm very good. You're pleased to be here?
I'm good. I'm good, thank you. Ecstatic to be here.
Good, that is the main thing. And not only are we joined by them, but to my right, Alex Emery from Soccer M and Zach from Football Daily. Tell us about your role tonight, guys.
So we're calling this Social Sofa.
Alliteration.
It's nice, isn't it? Basically, what we want you guys to do at home is send us your questions on Twitter, Facebook and Instagram, and we'll ask them to our panel of experts.
And we'll also be bringing you guys the latest transfer deals. And if any big ones are done, you'll hear this sound. And we'll bring you the news on it.
Hang on a minute, they've got their own prop panel. Can I just ask you, are you a bit gutted that Social Sofa have their own buzzer and you don't?
They've given me sweets instead of that buzzer.
Unbelievable.
No.
But that isn't the end of our coverage, because there's more. There's more to this great production. Over in the corner is Joe Tomlinson from Football Daily. Joe, tell us what you're doing tonight, because you've got a very cushy gig indeed.
This is the best seat in the house. I'm going to be watching all of the Premier League games tonight and giving live goal reactions, goal updates to you guys and to the people at home. We're also wearing badges tonight. It is for Mental Health Awareness Week. It's Time to Talk Day tomorrow. So use the Time to Talk hashtag on Twitter, Instagram, the lot to get involved.
OK, thank you very much, Joe. Yeah, it's 7 games, as we said, 4 7:45 games, which are Chelsea versus Bournemouth, Everton versus Leicester, Southampton against Brighton and Newcastle against Burnley. Then there's 3 games, importantly, that kick off 15 minutes later at 8 o'clock. Spurs against Man United, the fixture that separates Joe and myself. Man City against West Brom, come on you Spurs, and Stoke against Watford. And as well as that, Super 6 is back. Your chance to win a massive £1 million.
£1 million. Sorry.
That worked better in rehearsal, Scotty, didn't it? It works a lot better in rehearsal. OK, listen up about how you can win £1 million. Or I say all you have to do, you have to correctly predict the outcome, the results, in fact, of the following 6 Premier League games. That is Chelsea against Bournemouth, Everton versus Leicester, Newcastle versus Burnley, Man City versus West Brom, Stoke versus Watford and Spurs against Man United. You can Super 6 app you can play, or skysports.com/Super 6. The link is in the description and all the terms and conditions are there as well. You have to be over 18 to play. Best of luck. Right, panel, let's get talking about tonight's games. Interestingly, worth mentioning with the team news that we're going to bring you right now, players had to be registered by midday yesterday in order to be eligible for tonight's fixtures. Sure. First one we're going to talk about is Tottenham versus Man United. Scotty, Spurs v Man United. Alexis Sanchez starts. Someone you know well, obviously.
Yes, I do know him well. We did some stuff over Christmas, went to hospital to deliver some presents to the kids, but now he's gone and I'm gutted, obviously, being Arsenal. But interesting for him starting this evening, see what he can do. It's a huge game. I look at that Man United team, he definitely strengthens it. Yeah. And then, obviously, with Spurs, I think they're a bit reliant of late on Harry Kane, the main man. I see this one being a draw, you know.
Do you?
I
OK,
really
so you're going draw. Hamill, Harry Kane on 99 goals could become the 2nd quickest Premier League player of all time after Alan Shearer to reach that landmark of 100 Premier League goals. Do you think he'll do it tonight, and what's your prediction?
Well, he's become a shot monster this season, hasn't he? 4.8 shots per 90, so he'll definitely carve out a few chances, I would imagine, and Spurs needed him against Newport, didn't they, mate?
And he scored against Newport.
Almost a shutout, embarrassing.
The key word was almost there.
But no one knows how to ruin what should be a very good game like Jose Mourinho, but I've got to say Manchester United's front 5-6 looks very tasty, and without Alderweireld, I think they may have a fair shot too. I'm going to go for 1-1.
They haven't conceded of late as well, right? In January, Man United.
But that's mainly down to David De Gea. I think they're facing 12 shots a game. and he is just an absolute freak. I don't think...
In a nice way.
They've been as good as people have been purporting.
OK. Man United, Pato, won their last 6 games. They've got a good record at Wembley Stadium, and compare that to Spurs, who play at Wembley, haven't got the best record. How do you see this one going?
I still think that Spurs have enough. I'm glad that Eriksen's back, because I actually think, for all the credit that Harry Kane gets, and rightly so, I think Eriksen's the heart of that team.
You're a big fan of Eriksen, aren't you?
I think he's an amazing creator. I mean, he's always put up more chances than anybody else on the side, which is why it's good that Lucas Moura's arrived, and I imagine we'll talk about that later. Yeah. I don't know. Spurs, they only have the 6th best home record in the league, but I still think they might have enough in this game. I don't know. I'm going for a Spurs win here.
Ooh, and me and Joe will talk about Spurs Man United as the evening goes on. Man City against West Brom. Scotty, Laporta starting, new signing, Man City starting. Yeah, this is top against bottom. Do you think this is a Man City win?
I really do. How do you stop them at the moment?
City have just tweeted this photo, actually, of Laporte. There he is, starting tonight. I mean, as if they didn't need... For me, do they need any more players? They're strengthening again. They've been frightening this year, haven't they?
But Pep, obviously, he's seen something in this guy. He's left-footed, he passes the ball well, he's strong aerially, so he's going to strengthen this Man City side. But like you said, how can you keep strengthening this side? It's... Oh, jeez.
Trying to give some positives here for West Brom, trying to find something. Sturridge. Good signing for them, isn't he, on the bench? I watched Alan Pardew's press conference. He was saying it's very hard for teams to strengthen, particularly with strikers, in the January transfer window. So the loan deal is often a way for clubs such as West Brom that are struggling to get a player. That's a good signing for West Brom, isn't it?
Yeah, he has dropped off of late, but Newcastle were after him, of course, weren't they, after failing to score in 5 of their last 6 games. So Rafa will be livid about that. He may dovetail with Jay Rodriguez quite nicely. I was a little bit surprised he didn't go to Inter Milan. Apparently they were prepared to take him, but with the World Cup coming up, I think he might have thought out of sight, out of mind, and England could use him at the World Cup, couldn't they? The kid is a natural-born finisher, phenomenal technically, but physically, yet it remains to be seen, really.
Yeah. Pato, what do you think of this one? We need to get score predictions from you. What are you going to score predictions? Scotty, did you say?
3-1 Man City.
Chris?
Oh, I'm going to go 3-0, just to, mix it up.
Man City.
I think I'd go 3-1 to Man City as well. Like, I always fancy West Brom to get on the score sheet here, but I don't know, Man City have just got too much, really. It's interesting, West Brom have actually got a bunch of really interesting technical players who played for big teams before, Livermore, Krychowiak, Evans, Gibbs, and I think Sturridge is only going to add to that. So I think they might have a decent second half to the season, but this game, no.
OK, Chelsea versus West Brom, 3rd against 13th, one of the 7:45 games. Looking at Chelsea's lineup, it's quite interesting. Hazard is starting as a false 9, which just goes to emphasise the issues that they have getting a striker in. Obviously, they did sign Giroud for a... Pato, you're a big Arsenal fan. What did you make of that deal?
I think that makes sense for them. If you're looking for a plan B who's good in the air, then I think Giroud is one of the best around. I'm sad to see him go from Arsenal, but I do think they made a kind of fair offer for a player of his age. And I think he'll be really good for them, particularly in the Champions League, if they manage to get past Barcelona. He might be interesting. I don't know. I still think they're missing Morata. Morata's scored or assisted a third of their goals this season. But come on, I mean, at home against Bournemouth, you expect them to win. Yeah, score prediction from you then? 2-0. 2-0. Barkley starts. Hammer, what did you make of that transfer?
I mean, for £15 million, I think he represents very decent value in this current market. Antonio Conte has not been the happiest of bunnies, has he, this January? Of course, well documented his search for a target man that looks to have been done and dusted now with an £18 million deal, which I think is an absolute steal, by the way, for Olivier Giroud. I think he's the 4th highest scorer at Arsenal in Wenger's tenure there. So he just goes about his business, doesn't he? Puts 20 goals a season in all competitions in. I think that represents fantastic value, especially when they were prepared to bid £29 million for Andy Carroll. Yeah, we've got some pictures, actually, of Emerson and, of course, Olivier Giroud, Chelsea's 2 new recent signings. Oh, it's moving footage, in fact. There it is. Look at that. Another man that you know well. Another man you know well, Olivier Giroud. You've done a lot of work with him at Arsenal.
Seeing him in blue, I was going to ask,
is it strange seeing him in a Chelsea shirt? It really is.
Especially, he got a bit emotional yesterday at the game at the end when he was clapping the fans goodbye, because he has been a great servant to Arsenal. And I think that was the relationship with him and Arsene Wenger, why maybe this deal actually went ahead and he has gone to a rival team to respect him. He knows he's going to go there. Do you know what? I actually disagree. I think he could go there and be a plan A in the end. Because he's that kind of, he brings a different dimension. He's physical. He's guaranteed to get you goals. And I think Conte, I think the jury's still out on what he thinks of Morata as being that leading man. So I actually think he goes in there, does well. He could actually be a starting.
Wow. It's a beautiful match. Score predictions? You haven't, come on, you've got score predictions. You know the rules.
2-0.
2-0 Chelsea.
I was going to go 2-0.
Well,
yeah,
you still can go 2-0. You still can go 2-0.
Mm.
OK, Everton versus Leicester is the next one. 9th against 7th this one. This is a hard one to call, so I had to think long and hard about your predictions. Big news for me here, which I think is brilliant. Seamus Coleman starts. We saw that injury that he had, which I hate seeing players get injured, especially in that the way that he did. Great, Scotty, when a player, you know, you've had injuries yourself in your career, when a player has a nasty injury like that, everyone's delighted that he's back, aren't they?
It is, especially the initial, when you first get that injury, you don't know if you are going to come back as a player. And it's a lonely place, spending hours in the gym by yourself, watching your teammates go out onto the training field every day, and you have to do that rehab. It's mentally, it's tough.
How do you get through that mentally? You said that you're on your own, you're in the gym. Do you just have to focus on the recovery? Because it must be a very lonely place, as you said.
It really is. You're thinking about the finishing line and make it back, but the finishing line may change. You may have a date to come back, but then things happen during your rehab and then it extends. So to finally get back out on the pitch, that is a big moment for him tonight.
Yeah, well done, Seamus, from all of us here. Quick score prediction.
Oh, score prediction, I'm going Leicester 1-0.
You're really excited with the score prediction there.
I'm excited to be here, that's why.
Yeah, well, it's great to have you here. Mahrez did not travel and Mahrez is not injured. Chris, what do you make of that?
He's in my fantasy football team. I've had an absolute...
That's the only reason you're worried.
An absolute Tony Blair. He scored 9 in his last 20, I believe, after only scoring 3 last season, experiencing a purple patch. And then, as he does, handed in a transfer request when a bigger team came calling, which is fair enough, really, this time round. Manchester City's £60 million bid, I believe. But without him, I think they're going to struggle. Okazaki not scored in 10. Not a lot of goals in that Leicester side, although they've only conceded 1 in the last 6. I reckon they're going to edge Everton 2-1.
Oh, breaking news, Lookman has just gone to Leipzig, we've just heard. I presume that is a loan deal.
Really?
A little bit underrated, I think, Everton.
It's a loan deal.
Unfortunately, not to get more chances, I think.
What do you make of that deal, Patso?
I think that's really exciting. I mean, if Leipzig want one of your young players, then generally you should keep him. You should keep hold of that guy. They have
really good point.
Well, they have an incredible eye for young talent, you know. So I think he'll probably do well there. They'll give him the minutes certainly, and that's something he's obviously struggled for at Everton, and that's what you need as a young player to develop. I don't know. I think that Everton have been pretty poor actually since Allardyce came back, so I'd go for Leicester here as well.
Not 1 in the last 7.
Oh, sorry.
Right.
I've got to stop the whole transmission at the minute. Massive breaking transfer news. Reading have signed Chris Martin on loan, and we have got the biggest Reading fan here. I've got to interrupt the team news from Derby.
Yeah, mate.
Reading fan. How do you feel about that, Alex?
It happened 8 minutes ago.
Okay.
I thought I'd made point. Let you do your
Sorry.
And I thought I'd keep.
Why didn't you ring the buzzer then?
You've
got the buzzer, look.
But I thought,
ring it.
Is a Reading loanee transfer from Derby big enough? But yeah, I'm very happy. 29 years old, scores plenty of goals in the Championship. I'll take it.
OK, we're going to come to Alex as well, because not only are we covering the Premier League, but we're covering all of deadline day, and you've got some big the Championship sort of deadline news, so we'll come back to you. Stoke against Watford is one of our 8 o'clock.
Oh, yeah.
Deulofeu starts on loan from Barcelona, Patu. Thoughts on that one?
I really like Deulofeu. I think, though, there must be something wrong with him. That's my issue. Whenever he gets on the field, he looks really good. He was particularly good at Everton the other season, where I think he got 5 assists for Lukaku alone. But he's been benched by every manager he's ever had, and that does worry me. Yeah. However, the talent is definitely there. The thing is, since these teams last played, they've obviously both changed manager. Yeah. But this one's going to have goals in it, I'd have thought. Stoke and Watford, they have the 2 leakiest defences in the league. Stoke have conceded 50 goals in 24
games. Yeah, Stoke looking to win back-to-back
great.
Premier League games for the first time this season. Now, when you're saying that stat at the end of January, that isn't great. Score prediction?
2-2.
2-2. Oh, OK. Javi Grazi's first Premier League game in charge. Ham, will that have any sort of impact? Players want to...
You might see that sort of traditional upsurge straight away. Pardew didn't see it at West Brom, did he? But now they're finding a little bit of form, so who knows, maybe it'll come a little bit later. But I am quite excited to see Deulofeu play for Watford. They've been missing Will Hughes at various points this season. He might be able to plug that gap in the midfield, contributed to a goal every 2 games for AC Milan. Yeah. As Pau said, I think contributing to 8 goals and 8 assists and a couple of goals at Everton when Romelu Lukaku was there. But they are lacking that big target man for him to hit. When he was at Everton, he was very good in wide positions, I think, across every game. A key pass every game. And then that halved when Lukaku left. So if Deeney isn't filling that familiar role, I don't know who he aims for. So he might struggle there, might not. You know, I'm not shedding much clarity on the
score prediction.
issue. I'm going to go Watford, little 1-0. Going to sneak it.
Score prediction from you,
I'm
Scotty?
going 1-1 on this one.
1-1. They're quite hard fixtures today, aren't they, to separate? So let's move on. With that said, Southampton against Brighton, 19th against 16th. The big game at the bottom of the table. I think we're looking at pictures. There we go. Team Southampton against Brighton. As I say, big game at the bottom. Joa and Carrillo on the bench. Brighton massively needing goals. The lowest Premier League scorers with just 17 goals all season. Lucadia is also their record signing. Yeah, struggling for goals, Scotty. I'm going to ask you for a prediction for Southampton-Brighton. Something tells me you're going to go with Southampton for this one.
Really?
Yeah, I'm just feeling you're feeling Southampton. Am I wrong?
Yeah, I was going to go Southampton 1-0. See, we're on the same wavelength. This one is a strange game though, because even Southampton have been struggling for form of late. I think they've made over 64 changes to their team so far this season, which suggests obviously that they don't even know their best starting lineup or who fits in where. And then obviously Brighton struggling for goals as well.
Okay. How about Joe on the bench? They do need to strengthen, don't they, Brighton up front? It's not record science where they need to strengthen. It's up front. They've made a couple of signings. Do you think that they'll both feature?
I think Carrillo, could do for Southampton. It might be a little bit early for Joe and not got any game time at Leicester. I think he's a decent signing from Monaco, Carrillo. And as you alluded, Southampton desperately need goals. I think they're unlucky against Tottenham.
Both teams need goals, don't they? Both teams need goals.
Yeah, unlucky against Tottenham. The build-up play is there. I think Pellegrino is very well thought of. But again, I'm not overly confident this is going to be one to remember. I'm going to go 1-0 Southampton. I believe. Am I ripping you off there?
Yeah, interesting to see if either Carrillo for Saints or Joe for Brighton do get on the pitch. Quick prediction, Pato, for you from this one.
Oh, I think this is going to be boring, but...
but stay with us! Stay with us!
Southampton 1-0, Southampton 1-0, but neither one of these teams have got one win between them since November. It's pretty bleak, really.
OK, final game of the evening. It is one of the early ones, 7:45 kickoff, so with us very shortly, that one. Newcastle against Burnley. Hamill, coming to you one. Kennedy starts for Newcastle. Now, Newcastle, to me, seems to be a team that badly needs signings. They've made very few signings from when they were in the Championship. A lot of Newcastle fans very frustrated on social media. You read that they haven't really strengthened. Kennedy is someone that they have brought in, and he starts for Newcastle. Are you surprised Newcastle haven't done more business?
I think this is another plan B. I think, unfortunately for Newcastle, it's right man, wrong time. Obviously, Mike Ashley's trying to sell the club, which isn't necessarily conducive to spending lots of money, is it? Daniel Sturridge would have been great there.
Yeah.
I think a perfect fit for them, as I said earlier. They've missed out on him. But Rafa Benitez, fortunately, puts together a very tight defence. I think they've only conceded one in their last 5 or so games. So I can see this one being quite tight. Burnley have dropped off of late after a very good start, haven't they? I'm actually going to go 1-0 to Sean Dyche's Barmy Army, the Ginger Mourinho, the Worm Eater, 1-0 for the Claret.
OK. Pato, Newcastle, Burnley. Lennon on the bench for Burnley. What do you think of that signing? Obviously, Walcott coming into Everton would limit his game time. Do you think that's a good signing for Burnley?
Yeah, sure. I think they definitely need some pace, and he gives them a different option. They always want to get the ball into wide areas and get crosses in because of the aerial threat they carry. I don't know. It depends kind of the wages he's on, because I don't know how much money Burnley have to commit to that sort of thing. But definitely you need different weapons, and they need somebody who can get them up the pitch when they're sitting deep, and he can definitely do that. This is a battle between two pretty tough defences, so I wouldn't expect this one to be high-scoring either. So I'm hoping we get them all from Stoke and Watford.
Positive vibes.
So I don't know. I'll go for 1-1 for a Benitez game. That's pretty high-scoring.
OK, 1-1. Scotty, Burnley 8th. Burnley 8th in the Premier League. Sean Dyche is doing a brilliant job there, isn't he?
He really does. He always does well. Like, when he gets players in, he makes those players tick. Defensively, they're good. And I think Aaron Lennon will add a different dimension to them. I totally agree. They needed a bit of pace and that attacking flair. And Newcastle really struggling. Definitely needs signings at the back, up front. But are they going to give Rafa Benitez the money? Well, they've bought in Slimani up front, right? Has that been confirmed?
Yeah, so I think that's a decent move, actually.
Could get them some goals, but not this evening, because I'm going Burnley 1-0.
Oh, you're going Burnley 1-0, so that is all the games. Right, so the 7:45 games have started now. Let's go over to Joe, who looks to be really enjoying himself over there. Joe, any action to talk about?
This
Any
is absolute
chances?
chaos over here. There's 5 games going on, and 4 have kicked off. I've already lost place with most of them. Don't know who's playing who, but about 6 screens, so could be an interesting one. You have to bear with me when I see a goal.
I'm so glad you're
It was
over
a
there,
great chance, actually, early doors for Brighton against Southampton. Back post, Izquierdo had a ball rolled out to him on the edge of the box, and he hit it outside of the stadium. I think that's still travelling, but it's all 0-0 in the games. But, yeah, good chance for Brighton so far.
Thank you, Joe. Great roundup. OK, perfect time to get to social sofa, we call it itself. Yeah. What have you got for us? Have people been flooding us with questions?
Yeah, so our first question comes from Faison on YouTube, and he wants to know, which transfer do you think will happen late in the window?
Oh, tough one. I suppose the obvious one that we were all talking about before we came on air was the Mahrez one, which was bubbling, but it looks now likely that that's not going to happen. What do you think?
When we were on air earlier, even Jamie was saying, we don't think that's over yet, you know.
Really?
Yeah, it could potentially still go through. I don't know, I'm not throwing any rumours out there, but there's still a lot of time left. I think it could still go through.
On the subject, Alex was on Sky Sports News earlier with Jamie Redknapp and Thierry Henry. So can you name drop? Yeah, just pick those name drops up. Just drop that there. Can you give us any breaking news or any exclusives from being around Sports News? Anything that they said that you think might happen this evening?
No, we were mainly talking about the Mahrez one, and actually, from a player's perspective, feeling a bit sorry for him. He's seen all his mates go around him, make their big moves to other teams, and look, I think Liverpool have come in for him before in the transfer window. The links with Arsenal,
Roma originally as well. Yeah.
And then when Man City come knocking, he's thinking, oh, this is my chance to go to a top 4 team. I do feel sorry for the guy. Now he's, well, if it doesn't go through, he has to go back into that changing room where some of his teammates have now criticised that he didn't turn up for training yesterday. That's hard.
I was going to ask you about that.
What kind of form do you get from him now?
I was going to ask you about that. You've been in changing rooms and players come and go, of course. How will his teammates react to, of course, it wasn't just Man City putting a bid in. He handed in a transfer request for the second time in the summer and in January. How do you think his players will react to that? Because there's rumours that we hear that the players are unhappy with that. There's rumours now that Mahrez is unhappy that the deal hasn't gone through. It's not a perfect situation for anyone now, is it?
Yeah, so that's why I can't see... That's why I think it still may go ahead. Because what are you going to get from that player now when he goes into that changing room, the kind of form, and then he'll be handing in a transfer request at the end of the season? The only thing is, with Leicester City, they don't actually need the money. Yes. That's why he's still there. Yeah, but it is hard going into that changing room when you said they've already criticised him. How do you welcome back him in a player?
Do you think
like
the Mahrez deal, because we're reading that Man City have ended their interest, do you think any other club might come in for him now that they know that he's unsettled?
Not for the price that Leicester want him at. Yeah. I think Leicester rejected a bid in the region of £60 million and said they'd settle for something around 90, which is a crazy,
way off, aren't they?
Which is a crazy sum for someone who's 26, 27. But as you said, and it's a very good point, Leicester's owners are very cash rich, don't need to sell. Not going to be able to bring in a player of that calibre to the club, maybe for the foreseeable future. Hatem Ben Arfa has been linked. Puel got the best out of him at Nice, but I don't think he's going to make anywhere near the contribution that Mahrez is at the moment. He's a game changer for Leicester. He's seen that recent upturn in form, hasn't he? He's been the sort of the engine room in their run to 6th or 7th, I believe. So I think they've done the right thing because who do they go out and get at this point?
Space of time.
It's so late in the day. Yeah.
I mean, Andros Townsend was rumoured at one point to be linked there, but it wasn't. Doesn't look like that's going to happen. Pato, so in answer to Social Sofa it is, isn't it?
Sofa,
just getting that right. Social Sofa's original question: which player do you think might go right down to the wire?
I think the big clubs have basically done their business by now, but I think it looks like Amadou, who's the centre back from Lille, it looks like he might go to Crystal Palace. And Roma have just wrapped up a fullback signing from Porto, a guy called Jonathan Silva, who's really promising, but essentially fell out with his coach. Roma swooped in, they've got someone to replace Emerson straight away, which I actually think is a big miss for them because Emerson was absolutely sensational last season before he got a knee.
Yeah, tell us a bit more about Emerson. For a lot of our viewers might not know a bit about him. Tell us your encyclopedic knowledge that you have about him.
Well, he's principally a left wing back, and he's got fantastic attacking output. Obviously, last season, Spalletti's Roma, I think, were the top scorers in Serie A.
Yeah. 80-something.
Yeah, something like 87 goals. They were really good. And Emerson, he actually has a bigger defensive output than Marcus Alonso, but also more on the attacking end as well. This is a guy who's creating about 1.5 chances per game and is putting up between 3 and 4 tackles and interceptions. So you've got a guy who can contribute going in both directions and who can play on both sides. Plus, he's 22, 23. The question is how he recovers from that knee ligament injury because, of course, it ruled him out for the best part of the season. My worry is that if he isn't the player he was before, then you've spent a bunch of money. But as it is, the fee's not that crazy, so who knows?
And that's the gamble, isn't it? You never know how a player's going to come back from injury.
Yeah, exactly.
So it is a gamble. They could return to their best form, or they could lose some pace, or then they could get reoccurring injuries off the back of that injury. So you just never know. It's a gamble.
Yeah. Good question, that one, Alex, wasn't it?
Thank you very much,
good
mate.
question. Well, no, you didn't answer.
Any
other questions coming through?
Well, we've got this one. How can Guardiola complain that he doesn't have enough money to spend on players when he's just put a bid of over £100 million on Laporte and Mahrez?
It's a very, very good question. I read that Man City now have spent 4 of the 5 most expensive defenders in world football history are at Man City, obviously the other one being Virgil van Dijk. Guardiola doesn't really have it that bad, does he, in terms of the budget he has to spend, let's be honest.
Not really.
No, but Mancini did buy quite old, so did Pellegrini. So Manchester City, I think it was inevitable, this sort of large turnover they were going to have in staff, and he's bought young, as Guardiola normally does, and hopefully they'll be playing in those positions for years to come, and they'll prove sound investments. I think he hasn't put a foot wrong in the transfer market as of yet, other than Claudio Bravo, but we'll move on.
Mind games, do you think, from Guardiola, Scotty, when he was saying about money? I mean, because
as soon as he came out and said that, everyone was like, what is he talking about? They've spent, how much money has he spent since he's been there? And to go out and then try and buy a replacement in Mahrez for over 60 million just as a backup because now someone's injured and you're complaining you haven't got enough money. But it shows his intent that he wants to go after all 4 trophies, and to do that you need a big squad.
Yeah, they've been incredible this year, as we've all seen. Still on for 4 trophies, as you say. I can't see anyone beating Man City. Indeed, he's just hit the crossbar for Leicester. Joe, over there, can you fill us in on the action?
Oh, it's a great chance. At the back post, it's him and Harry Maguire, and Didi's got up a little bit higher. Ball over the top from, I think it's Mark Albrighton. And Didi, it's a great chance, about 80 yards out, hits the underside of the box. Great effort, actually. He's kind of leaning right back, climbing on players, but Pickford, he was getting nowhere near it, Jordan Pickford, so could have been 1-0 Leicester there, but not to be.
And the other games you're watching, any other chances in the other games?
Absolute ball fest, mate, in the other games. Nothing going on whatsoever. Brighton, Southampton, there's not even any point looking at that screen. I've just ignored it, blanked it.
OK, we have to touch upon the fixture that separates us, mate. Tottenham against Man United.
Go on, then,
obviously, I'm Spurs, you're Man United. Can we get a prediction for you, how you think the game unfolds? Also, looking at the way that Jose Mourinho's set up, quite an attacking team. A lot of people say that Jose likes to park the bus, play defensively when he plays the so-called big teams, but he's gone quite strong with his lineup. Yeah,
I mean, Jesse Lingard has kind of played as, like, I don't want to coin the term a false centre-mid, but he's been playing as a centre-mid that drifts well far forward in the last few games, so he's obviously going to operate in that role tonight, but I think it's quite a tight one. My head's saying 0-0, Jose shuts it down, but my heart's saying Alexi gets a double and we beat you 2-0, smack you about. So
I've made a prediction myself, which is 1-1, so I will stick with that Spurs Man United one. I think we can see footage of Man City. There they are, Man City against West Brom. That is, of course, top against bottom. Big news, Laporte starting. Daniel Sturridge on the bench as well for West Brom. Man City have won the last 12 Premier League meetings with West Brom and have won the last 11 home Premier League games. Apologies to any West Brom fan watching, but this is the beauty of the Premier League. Anything can happen. 65 points in 24 games, I think they've got. Only outscored in Europe's top 5 by PSG with 70 goals. They're going to batter West Brom. You think? But a lot of people said this when Liverpool played Swansea, didn't they, and lost to Swansea. No one saw that result happening. I mean, I could be wrong, by all means, but... I'm surprised Sturridge is on the bench. I would have thrown him straight into that starting lineup, like Jose did with Sanchez. Yeah. What better way to know your teammates and get used to playing than actually playing a game? Difficult game to come into, though, isn't it? Yeah. Why not? Big game for West Brom. Scotty, Arsenal last night. Should touch upon that. What happened to Arsenal last night? Oh, I don't know. I'm still trying to work it out. I didn't actually see that one coming. I was like, OK, we'll actually go away and get a win here. But that's the story of the season for Arsenal. You actually never know. And defensively, we've been so bad throughout the season. I'm surprised. Oh, what's happened over there, Joe? Anything? Oh, sorry. Sorry to interrupt you. It's just penalty. It's a penalty. It's right. We're going to go to Joe now, who's going to watch the penalty unfold live. Who's the penalty for, Joe? It's a penalty for Brighton. Hurts brought down. I'm not sure who it is. It might be Pascal Gross, I think. Mike Dean, straight to the spot. His arms come out.
so quickly. Oh, it looks like a dive. I'm not sure about that being a penalty at all.
Is Glenn Murray
very, very soft.
That's a great bit of
Solly
skill on the
March
edge.
it is with Solly March. I actually think it's a dive from Solly March. I'm having none of that being a penalty. Very unlucky from Wesley Hort. I think, is it Glenn Murray stepping up?
Yeah, he's injured.
It is Glenn Murray. The screen is so far away, I need a pair of binoculars to see it. Looks like I'm watching it from Brighton. Glenn Murray has taken his time. Mike Dean, 1-0 Brighton. Yes. That's a great... They've started really well in that game. As boring as it's been, it's 1-0 Brighton. So,
thought you was ignoring that
come
top
back
screen.
to me, yeah.
Big goal for Brighton. 7th Premier League goal of the season, I believe. That is a massive goal for Brighton. 19th v 16th. Big game, that, isn't it?
That's not... We're not winning that money. Our prediction was wrong, right?
We're winning by not having to watch it.
Already. Just seen in front of us as well. There's Spurs Man United kicking off shortly. There is the man of the moment, Harry Kane, looking for his 100th Premier League goal. The second quickest player in Premier League history to score 100 goals if he scores tonight.
You said 1-1.
I did say 1-0. The other man of the moment there, Alexis Sanchez. I always worry about him when he plays against Spurs. Already scored against Spurs this season already for Arsenal, don't forget. And he is really the man of the moment, isn't he? I mean...
Well, so you think one Harry Kane goal, one Sanchez
Yeah,
goal?
I do.
Would you settle for that? Would you be happy with
Would I settle for that? That's a good question. The thing is about Spurs' next fixtures is it's after... Man United tonight is Liverpool, Arsenal, and Juventus in the Champions League, and the replay against Newport, which for me could be the hardest of the lot, having watched the FA Cup game. Right, let's go back to Zach and Alex on Social Sofa. What you got for us, boys?
OK, so this question comes from Twitter. It came earlier in the day from a man called Swagato Sarkar. Because when he replies, what he does is he replies with like 10 questions.
Okay.
And about 9 of them were awful, but one of them was quite good.
He's our one Uber fan.
Come on, United. Who is the bargain transfer of the window? And I'll give you a couple of suggestions just in case you need reminding. Olivier Giroud, 18 million. Sanchez, of course, was a swap.
Oh, my God, it's 1-0 Tottenham from the kickoff.
Oh, Spurs have scored! So we've got to Tottenham have scored. Christian Eriksen, the man Pato is singing his praises.
This is
There is Joe. Joe, come to you. Tell us about the goal in as long as you want to describe this goal against Man United. Take your time.
This is reminiscent of our start away at Chelsea when we lost 4-0. It is so bad. Jose is spitting on the touchline. What a terrible start. Long ball is pumped down the line. I'm not too sure who it's pumped by, but it's won by Harry Kane, and it is the simplest goal you'll see all season. Dele with a lovely little layoff inside, and then Christian Eriksen taps it into an open net from 6 yards out from the kickoff. That is an absolute disgrace, Man United.
Sunday League stuff.
Phil Jones, what is he doing?
That's a sensational ball.
De Gea could do nothing with that. Interesting, Joe. That is Eriksen's 50th goal for Tottenham. He's been in great form for us. What a goal.
That is a standard set play, what you working on training. You work on kickoffs, literally set it back to the centre-back, route one, flick on goal. Simple as that. It's worked on it in the training
Would they have been practising that, do you think?
Yeah, we've worked on that.
You've worked on that as well?
I've literally done that kickoff before.
Can you demonstrate it? Yeah. We haven't quite got the pitch yet. The next time they will have a pitch to demonstrate.
I've been training today, I'm rested now.
We need to go back to the question because this is it. We've got goals, we've got deadlines. Stay with us. Going back to the question, which was...
The question was, who is the bargain transfer of the window? Maybe Giroud, Sanchez with the swap deal from Mkhitaryan. Ross Barkley. He loves interrupting. Ross Barkley for 15 million.
Who was that?
Yeah. He feels a bit lonely over there. That's why I keep shouting.
He's just attention.
This is him all day.
Bargain buy. So like you're saying, you're not looking for the Philippe Coutinho. We all know Philippe Coutinho is a great player, but for 143 odd million, it's not a bargain. Who is the bargain buy of the window?
Until today, I was going to go with Daniel Sturridge because I was thinking he can go into West Brom, get goals, Premier League survival. But now I think with Giroud going to Chelsea, I think the money they've paid for him, he's going to guarantee them goals, the physicality, a different dimension. I think he's got to be Giroud.
And they strengthened the rival as well.
There he is. There is Giroud right there.
Oh, it just pains me.
Scott, you're really upset about this transfer. You said this earlier on in the show, off camera to me before. You're really upset about this transfer.
I would have kept him at Arsenal. I really would, and especially with Aubameyang not being able to play in Europa.
Yeah.
We need him, and he always comes off the bench and he has an impact. He scores goals.
Oh, bang it! Finish it! Oh my God!
Joe, you're meant to let us know when there's a goal, not interrupt us every time we talk. Quickly, let's go back to Joe. Tell us what happened.
Well, Lingard just had a great chance for Man United. Dance for a couple of Tottenham defenders, should have scored, but Lukaku also came close, but there's also an incident in the Newcastle game. New signing Kennedy turning a few players into statues on the edge of the box. Unbelievable effort from about 25 yards out, left-footed curler, hit the inside of the post, but Jesse Lingard hit the net.
Jesse Lingard, not happy. Jesse Lingard.
Good save.
Why'd you neck him?
So bargain
you
buys.
can't give the keeper credit there, Joe. That's a good save.
Yeah.
Get off the fence with you, United. That's
exactly.
a good save.
World class from Lloris. If that was De Gea, he'd have been raving about it. Great save. Bargain buys then. Giroud, you're going for.
Yep.
Hamill, who are you going for?
I agree, solid buy. I'll go a little bit more left field. I think there's been some great business conducted on the continent. Rafinha on loan to Inter Milan from Barcelona. He was great last season when they weren't great on the run-in. Barcelona struggled under Luis Garcia a little bit, didn't they? Not Luis Garcia. Lucho. I think he contributed to a goal every 2 games sort of thing. Bayern, as they do, conducting great business while simultaneously weakening their opponents. They've signed Wagner on a free from Hoffenheim and Goretzka from Schalke, I believe, who also signed Pritchard on loan from Juventus, who's kicked his career off with a goal in the Bundesliga. So a few little left-wing shouts for you there. What about you, Patrice?
Oh, well, I think I have to go back to Emerson. I think Emerson's a really good one. I like some of the punts people have taken. It looks like Alexander Sorloth looks like he's on his way to Crystal Palace. He's an interesting young striker out of Norway, I think. So I like those kind of moves. And I don't know. You also look at players like, I mean, even a player like Aubameyang. Like Aubameyang's cost a lot of money, but for a player of that quality, you could argue his fee's a little bit low, same as Giroud. So yeah, I like all of that.
Okay, let's get on to Arsenal. Arsenal have dominated the window really and effectively with ins and outs. We've got 2 Arsenal fan and player on the sofa.
Not the same.
Arsenal, not the same level, yeah. Aubameyang, Mkhitaryan in, out Sanchez, Walcott, Coquelin as well, and Giroud. So will Arsenal fans... They're always talking about Wenger getting involved in the transfer, and he's been very busy, ins and outs. Do you think that is a good window for Arsenal or not, Scotty?
Well, the fans, we needed something to happen to bring life back into the club. But when I look at it, the players that we've lost, OK, Giroud, which I would have wanted him to stay, Theo leaving, these have been players for the last couple of seasons that have not really been in the starting lineup. So I'm looking at it, OK, Mkhitaryan can come in and be in the starting lineup. Aubameyang's obviously going to be a starting player. Yeah. So, yes, we've lost players, but actually we could have strengthened our starting 11, which we needed to do. So I'm just trying to be a bit positive on the Arsenal front.
No one can deny going forward, Arsenal have now looked frightening going forward. But is this the area that they needed to strengthen? Because I look at the game last night against Swansea, and are there not issues at the back and in defensive midfield that they really should have addressed before going for 4 players?
There are always those issues, but I think those are issues that could be solved with coaching rather than necessarily just with acquisitions. Like, I think there is talent there, but this has been a problem regardless of the personnel at the back, and after a while you say, well, this is a system issue. Arsenal do definitely need to strengthen in those areas, and they had to replace the goals and assists that they lost with Sanchez. So I think Aubameyang was good there. But I think it's a little bit of a muddled window. On the one hand, getting in 28, 29-year-olds in Mkhitaryan and Aubameyang, and then letting Giroud go. If you're going all in trying to win the Europa League, then keep Giroud and, you know, actually have your best attempt at it. Otherwise, they haven't really got much younger. I don't really understand it. I think they should be planning for the future a little bit more. I wouldn't have got in Mkhitaryan at his age.
And then who have we been linked with? What, Johnny Evans? And is he out of contract at the end of the season? So I suppose...
I'm not sure. I think
there's a deal
if they go
in place.
down, then his release clause drops to like 3 million or something.
So I think Wenger's reluctant to...
Johnny Evans has a relegation release clause for 3 million.
So maybe that's where Wenger might be waiting. Why am I going to spend money now when I can wait to the summer and see what's going to happen?
Interestingly as well, I believe Johnny Evans not playing tonight, but that's through injury, not through choice or through him having a medical somewhere else.
Smithy, what about Lucas Moura? 25 million.
Lucas Moura is a done deal, we're hearing. Lucas Moura is one of the done deals that happened just before we came on air. Yeah, very pleased with that as a Spurs fan, actually, because he brings us something that we don't have in our squad in pace, raw pace. George Kevin Nkudu, obviously at Burnley now, was our quickest player, but he hasn't quite done it for us.
You've signed a couple of dodgy wingers, haven't you? And G and Nkudu.
Yeah, the wingers that haven't, to be fair, had a lot of game times, but haven't performed when they have. So for me, Lucas Moura coming in is a great signing. It's another option that we have him in and behind Harry Kane. There's a lot of pressure on Harry Kane to score those goals. So I think he will be a big impact player for Tottenham. Obviously can't play tonight because he wasn't registered in time yesterday. But yeah, I think that is a good signing.
And it's another player knowing that there's a World Cup coming up. He needs to play because it was, He
actually started more games last season than Angel Di Maria. People think he's this bit part player. 29 starts in the league. I actually think you've conducted fantastic business there.
He scored a lot of goals, didn't he, Hamill?
11 goals in the league. I think around 20 in all competitions. So his most productive season to date. People compare him to Theo Walcott, which is a little bit unfair because they both have pace, right? But he's shown last season that he's got end product. So.
And don't forget, Spurs haven't done a lot of business in the January transfer window for a long time. So for Spurs fans, it's a big signing.
First time for your boss, isn't he?
First time for a while. Dele Alli was the last big January transfer window we had.
Not a January transfer.
Last January big one was Dele Alli, which was a great transfer, as we all know. Not his best season this year, but was a great sign. But yeah, so Lucas Moore, Spurs fans, let us know what you think in our comment section below. Keep the questions coming as well. With that said, guys, any more questions for us?
Well, we were talking about Arsenal, and Andy wants to know, with Lacazette and Aubameyang both playing the number 9 role, what's going to happen with the formation?
Good question.
Explain.
You want to go?
Goal!
Oh, hello. Guys, we're going to stop you. Joe, we're going to come to you. Can you give us an update? What's happened?
Well, I thought it was a goal. I've got my hopes up a bit early there, I'll be honest. Jack Cork played a lovely through ball to Ashley Barnes, who slotted it in, but he is offside. Everton have just scored, literally as I'm watching him, and it's Theo Walcott.
Theo Walcott! Wow!
Sigurdsson, nice little lay-on by Gylfi Sigurdsson, and Theo Walcott has tapped it in, but it's all go. Burnley have had a goal disallowed for offside, and then Everton straight away up the other end, it's a different game obviously, but at the other end have scored. So Theo Walcott, is it his first start? If it is his first start.
No, second.
No, not his first start. He's started. He made an assist, didn't he, in his debut?
Goal on his second start then. So thanks, mate.
Walcott then. Let's talk about Walcott. Another Arsenal out. How do you think he'll do at Everton, Hamill? That's a good signing for Everton, isn't it?
I think I'm the least qualified to talk about Walcott on his couch. I reckon one of you guys should take this.
I just think he needed a different club, a different environment, and he's playing. He could potentially be in his last World Cup this summer, so he needed minutes.
Definitely.
Yeah. Interesting. I think I'm right in saying Theo Walcott's never played a game in a World Cup, has he? Because he went as a 16-year-old, didn't play, then he was injured for the next one, then wasn't picked for the next one. So I'm pretty sure Theo Walcott has never played in a World Cup, and I know that England is a huge motivational. And he's already played more minutes for Everton now than he has for Arsenal this whole season.
He's got to have a great 6 months if he wants to go.
Do you think?
Yeah. With the wide talent that England are producing at the minute as well, and the form that Raheem Sterling's in, yeah, he'll be a bit pot player at most, and I imagine that's only if he bangs a fair few goals in. But
he knew that as a player he needed to play.
Yeah, he did. I don't think he's going to make it either. I just think the wealth of attacking talent for England is too much. But he's a great fit for Everton. Yeah. Everton needed his pace. He's a really good goal scorer. Even when he doesn't give anything else, he's amazing at getting those positions. I worry a little bit about the age of their squad and the wages that they're expending on these players. But overall, he is going to score goals for them, and I really hope that he's a great second half of the season.
He was what Everton needed as well, right? Yeah. Wide, attacking, pace, it ticks all the boxes.
I think he might play through the middle, though, a little bit more.
Do you think? Yeah, he's very versatile. He can play many positions. You know. There's an incident going on at Chelsea, I think we can see. Joe, we're going to cross to you now. What's going on at Chelsea?
Absolutely not a clue, mate. Can't tell you. I think Christensen's down injured, but haven't had a replay on the incident yet. But it just looks like he kind of goes down. It might have pulled something, I think. It doesn't look like a contact injury, so it looks like he's done his hamstring, which is a big blow to Chelsea because he's been fantastic this season. And it looks like if David Luiz, obviously there was a bit of chat earlier in the day, wasn't there, about David Luiz going to Arsenal. I'm pretty sure that Chelsea fans will be happy that didn't happen if this is as serious as it looks. But I think Rudiger is about to come on as a replacement, but it looks like Christensen has pulled his hamstring.
Interesting cutaway there as well, of Conte, Joe, because this is a player that Conte likes a lot, isn't it?
Loves him. So that's a big blow for Chelsea, in my opinion.
OK, back to Social Corner, guys. What you got for us?
So this question's a little bit of a debate. So if you saw, Big Sam came out and moaned about the fact there were games on deadline day. Obviously, it's great for us because we can have this chaotic studio. But do you agree, should there be games on deadline day?
Yeah, it's interesting. I watched this Sam Allardyce press conference. I think the point he was making is that it's with games going on and deadline day, it's hard if a player is linked with a move and then he's picked for a squad. What's that player's frame of mind like? Scotty, you're very well placed with this. What is it like when you've got transfers going on And have you ever been in this situation at all when you've got transfers?
It's exciting though, isn't it?
It's exciting. So you enjoy it? You find it fun?
No, like you said, it's hard for players, and obviously Mahrez didn't travel this evening because he thought maybe he'd be moving on to a different team. So from that front, it's hard for maybe some players have the mentality, like Giroud yesterday, he can still go and play and concentrate on getting that game done before the move, but some players can't. But...
And on that note, you told me a very interesting story about your move from Arsenal when you went abroad, because a lot of people look at these deals and they're done so quickly, and it's not just a case of money or experience or where you go, but it's uplifting your whole family and your kids and all of that. And you made it a very good point to me off camera about how hard it was for you with moving from Arsenal to America. You moved, completely different culture. Tell us a bit about that.
Yeah, well, for me, obviously, the emotional connection with Arsenal. I'd signed at Arsenal since I was 8, and then this would be my first big move. We weren't professional here in England yet, so the chance to go abroad, play professional, but leave somewhere that's kind of been a second home where I've grown up. I remember sitting down with Vic Akers, the manager at the time, and I was in tears, Smithy. Because I felt I was letting him down, but I wanted to go and improve myself as a player in the long run. And it did, being in a different environment, Boston. I was so lucky to be in a great city in Boston. And I did. I ultimately went there, I pushed on, I became the best right back in the world, and then came back to the club that I love, so it worked out.
And can we just say a round of applause? Round of applause for this woman. 140 England caps, by the way.
12 goals as well, Smith.
12 goals.
140 now.
Wikipedia.
140 now.
Yeah.
England career over.
Yeah.
Great England career.
Yeah, I got to a point I knew the time was right. I've played in 4 World Cups, I think 4 Euros and Olympics, and I just got to the point where I was just like, can I do another cycle? Is the motivation still there? And it's different for me now. I need to start thinking about my future career.
Yeah. Pato, you haven't played in 4 World Cups. Neither
has Pele, though.
No, you haven't. Do you like the fact that the games are going on with deadline day, going back to that original question? It's a good question, actually, and bearing in mind what Sam Allardyce said, what are your thoughts on it?
I find it extremely hard to care. Like, I think there are distractions that go on all the way through the season. Managers change job all the time. Managers also are under pressure constantly. Players can read about them, about being dropped, you know, these sorts of things, and you're always getting rumours about what's going to happen in the summer. So, I don't know. I just kind of want to watch the games, and to be honest, if teams don't want their players to be involved in these moves on deadline day, then simply say no when it comes to deadline day. They do have that power.
OK, we'll go to Joe. Joe, a couple of things happening. To Kane and Sanchez, the 2 big players involved in a little altercation there, and also there's a chance for Chelsea, I see.
Yeah, great chance for Chelsea. From a corner, Gary Cahill climbing at the front post, probably should score. Free header from about 4 yards out, puts it over the bar. Not much else happening in the other games at the moment, particularly quiet in Stoke-Watford, unsurprisingly. I think we all knew that was going to be boring at the start, and it's turned out to be exactly that. Wait for a goal coming there, because I said the exact same about Brighton Southampton. OK, thank you very much, Joe. Obviously, he's watching all 7 games. He will keep you up to date with absolutely anything, not just goals, corners, throw-ins, the lot. Thank you, Joe. Guys, next question from Social Corner. Are we having a lot of people interact with us?
Yeah, absolutely loads across YouTube, Twitter. Keep them coming.
Yes, well, first, I also wanted to say... it hasn't been completed just yet, but Andre Ayew looks like he's going to be joining Swansea for 18 million.
Finally a transfer.
And Andy King from Leicester might be going on loan to Swansea as well.
Yeah, Adam King works in our office.
Yeah, well, mix up. Anyway,
that'd be a decent move for him to.
Yeah, it would be great.
This question comes from Jake on Instagram, and he asks, where does signing Mesut Ozil to a new contract rank amongst the best deal?
Oh, it's a good point, that, because that's gone very much under the radar. Mesut Ozil signing another player that a lot of Arsenal fans wanted to sign, but a lot of people thought he'd be out the door with Sanchez. That is a big signing for Arsenal.
See, I didn't think he would be out the door. As soon as Sanchez left, I think Mesut Ozil has played his cards right. Yeah. Got Arsenal right where he wanted them. I didn't see him going to any other...
some more wages for him, right?
Any other team for that sort of money.
Yeah, sure.
It all worked out perfect for him.
Agree?
Yeah, and I think it actually made sense to try to extend Ozil. I mean, I can't say that it was Arsenal's plan, but extending Ozil over Sanchez, I think, is good, because Sanchez, the way he plays, the miles he's got in his legs, he's played something like 670 games by this point in his career. That's 100 more than Ozil. It's like 200 more than Lallana. So you expect him to start to slow down now, whereas Ozil, the nature of his game, I think he can continue to play at this level for quite some time. They've now got him signed up, I think, until 2021. I don't know, I like that. I think that safeguards the quality of that attack for a few years.
Also, 18 million for Ayew. When you compare that to the Giroud fee...
So they get to talk about
that a lot of money.
Talk about Ayew, Smith. Is that how
you are talking about Ayew.
Right.
You said to me beforehand, get me talking about Ayew. 18 million for Swansea. What are your thoughts, Hamill?
He's in this perma limbo, isn't he, between Swansea and West Ham, and how West Ham have made their money back on a guy who's scored 3 goals in around 15 starts this season, one being last night, of course, against Arsenal, the easiest goal a forward could hope for. I think West Ham have done very well out of this, not traditionally a club who conduct great business transfer-wise either. Listen, Carlos Carvajal, is it Carlos Carvajal? Yeah, he's won 3 of his first 5 games. He's bringing in a bit more firepower. I think they're 3 points off Crystal Palace in 12th. If they survive, he's done an outstanding job given the teams he had to play in his opening sort of period. So, well done, are you?
That is interesting down there. I think there's like, what, 9 points between 9th and 20.
Mad team. Lots of teams that could get sucked into it. Right, we've got a tweet from Ledley King now, who's been watching, watching the Spurs game, of course. Basically, a lot of people saying, is that the quickest Premier League goal? Eriksen scored very early on, as Joe said, straight from kickoff. He's just tweeted, and still, that is, I believe, reference to the fact that Ledley King still has the quickest Premier League goal in history for that goal against Bradford, of course. So 9.9 seconds, Ledley King still has the record. That would have been something, wouldn't it, if a Spurs player would have beaten Ledley King to his record.
What a player Ledley King was.
Penalty.
Penalty. Joe, what game?
Newcastle. He's missed it. Hosselu couldn't finish a packet of crisps at the moment, and he's done it again. What is he doing? That was one of the worst signings of the season, and Pope has saved it so comfortably. It's such a bad penalty. It was a definite penalty in the first place. Kennedy getting brought down would have counted as an assist if you got him in his fantasy team if Hosselu wasn't so useless. But dearie me, that's a big miss. Southampton have also just hit the bar. I think it's Højbjerg closing down Matt Ryan on the edge of his own 6-yard box. Ball hits him and then rebounds onto the crossbar.
Oh, there's a goal, Joe.
Good chance there. And there's another one. There's a goal in City. It's absolute chaos.
I saw it before you did.
What is going on here?
He's got one job over there.
Who scored the goal, Joe?
I think it was Fernandinho, but I was watching one of the other 7 games or something. So,
6 games, there's only 7. Go on.
Kevin De Bruyne plays a decent ball. It's like rewinding, so I'm trying to see it in rewind. But yeah, Man City are 1-0 up. Fernandinho has got it. Let's have a look at the goal then. Kevin De Bruyne trots inside. It's a fabulous ball by Kevin De Bruyne. Absolute magician of a ball. It's incredible. It's on a plate for Fernandinho. Good finish, though. Taps it around the outside of Ben Foster. 1-0. Expectedly so to Manchester City.
That ball, though.
Thank you very much, Joe. Alex Scott, you were disappointed in Joe's delayed reaction to watching the goal there, weren't you?
Yeah, come on, keep on top of it over there.
That's almighty, I'm trying.
But you did describe that goal very well, Joe.
Yeah, it's an incredible ball by Kevin De Bruyne. Unbelievable.
Kevin De Bruyne.
Just give me 5 minutes now, because I need to calm down.
Actually pronounced De Bruyne, as Patrick Van Straten likes to point out to me most days.
Is it actually?
De Bruyne.
Is it?
Well, it's closer to De Bruyne, yeah, because it's Flemish, right? So this is something that you can check out.
Every day's a school day, guys. So there you go.
Go on. Every day.
Have you got any more translations for us, Patrick, that people have been saying wrong on that note?
I mean, I'm sure we can find some later.
Neymar?
What's a good one? Oh, when people say Javier Hernandez, it's Javier, it's not Javier. I don't know why people do that. Stupid.
Any others?
Zach called one of our Sky colleagues, Gillian Balaguer, the other day.
Yeah.
So that wasn't
like Terry Gillian.
My pronunciations aren't great anyway.
Pronunciation.
That is De Bruyne. I'm just watching that De Bruyne pass back, and that is his 11th assist in the Premier League. 11th assist in the Premier League this season. Cutting open defences all season. Oh, strong challenge there from the Man United game against Dele Alli. Kevin De Bruyne as well renewed his contract in January. That's a huge signing, isn't it?
2022, right?
Yes.
Yeah, he is an absolute beast. Is the conduit in that team, isn't he?
Oh my God!
Best in the league, do you think?
Joe, you're only supposed to pipe up when something happens, mate. All right?
Chris, I'm asking. Come on, I'm asking a question.
Pal.
Is he the best? Do you think he'll go on to win the Player of the Year, Kevin De Bruyne?
I think he has to at this point. He's been very consistent in his genius, hasn't he? He can open a tin of beans with either foot.
Can he? Wow, that's impressive.
I know. It's something he did on FD for us, you know, as a little favour.
Oh my God!
But I can't think of many other strong contenders. Eden Hazard's playing well at the moment, of course. Alexis Sanchez, very patchy start to the season. Harry Kane will be up there, won't he? With the just because of the sheer amount of goals he scores. What about you guys? Who do you think's going to?
I think you just hit there now on the head. You
Salah,
said
Mo Salah.
Yeah, good shout. Very good
but
shout.
I just think with De Bruyne, his consistency week in and week out at that level, like that ball this evening, killer passes and scoring goals. He is literally bringing everything to this Man City side.
Joe, back to you. What's happening?
Oh, dearie me. Oumar Niasse, hang your head in shame. This is an outrageous miss. Wilfred Ndidi has passed the ball to him. He's about 6 yards out, completely open goal. No wonder he was on loan at Hull last season, because this is an absolute disgrace of a miss. I don't know how he's put it wide. It's easier to score than miss. Still 1-0 to someone in that game. I think it's Everton.
Thank you, Joe. It is, of course, Everton. 1-0. Right, guys, what are people talking about mainly? What transfers have been getting people's imagination going?
Mainly Aubameyang. We're trying to sift through the comments to try and find something that isn't Aubameyang.
2-0.
Who is it?
There's been another goal, Joe. Back to you. Sorry, Alex. Back to you, Joe.
It's Theo Walcott.
It's Everton again, and it's Theo Walcott again. Wow. His ball has kind of bobbled over to him on the far side, and he's volleyed it from the corner of the 6-yard box straight across the keeper. Easy finish for Theo Walcott. Gets his second of the day. This is going to be a cricket score. I think this could be a cricket score.
And Harry Kane's
also just had a great chance, but should have done better, and David De Gea has made an easy save. That's the 2 games that I'm currently watching. The other 5, anything could be going on.
Theo Walcott in the goals.
An easy finish, but you've got to be in the right place at the right time to make sure that they are easy.
Good Gareth Southgate, are you watching? What was I saying about Leicester's defence?
How many goals has Theo Walcott got to score to get on the plane to rush to Hamill? Because he's doing pretty well tonight.
What a way to boot off his career. Yeah, but him and Rooney. Rooney's got 10 already this season. Life in the old dogs yet.
Yeah. OK, Alex, you were saying on Social Sofa before we rudely interrupted you.
Yes. So mainly it's Aubameyang, but this man here, Simon Finlay on Twitter, wants us to cast our minds back to last window in the summer, and he wants to know what is the best deal, what is proved to be the best deal from the summer transfer window, not including Mo Salah.
Oh, I was just about to say Mo Salah. So,
Mo Salah.
Mo Salah's the one that jumps out in terms of value for money and what he's done in the league. Good question, that one. Guys, what do you think? Summer signings. Hard to remember all the summer signings, isn't it? It seems so long ago.
Could have done with a few examples.
Yeah, I was going to say. I've literally got it written here as well.
We've got a couple,
yeah. You got
Walker's really good. And I was on a show with you, and I said that the signing of the summer would be Mo Salah. And I feel pretty good about that now. But I don't know, I actually think with Richarlison as well for Watford.
Yeah, do you know, I totally agree with you. I think
they're going to take a huge profit on him, I think, in the summer, because that guy, he's taking more shots in the box than Alexis Sanchez every 90 minutes. I mean, he's creating chances. He's a really big guy, 6'2", I think. He's fast as well. He can create. I don't know, I think that Richarlison could be a really interesting option for one of the bigger sides, maybe a Spurs.
Let's go back to Joe. Spurs with a chance, Joe.
Spurs are in. Oh, Dele Alli, not good enough. Dele Alli was 2-on-1. He had, I think it was Heung-min Son charging up to his left-hand side, but couldn't find him. Brighton have also had a couple of good chances. Niasse had another one where he went through 1-on-1, but spurned it, unsurprisingly. And Man City have just had one dragged wide. So it's all go from these games. I feel like I'm about to have a panic attack.
Joe, just talk about that Man United Tottenham quickly, because I'm trying to cast an eye on it as a Spurs fan as well.
Yeah.
Who's been Spurs 1-0 up? Should they have extended their lead? Have Man United had chances? How's that game unfolded?
From what I've seen, actually, Manchester United have been playing quite well and look dangerous in and around the box. Anthony Martial had a great chance where he came back in on his left foot. There's actually a chance for Stoke here. They're in. They've got us all, Stoke. Oh, it's a great block. Is another chance? Oh, he's put it just wide. Back to the United game, sorry. Manchester United have kind of settled down since that goal, so we look dangerous going forward, but Tottenham are playing purely on the counter-attack.
Oh, interesting. Chance there. God, it's exciting watching all these games, isn't it? Every time it cuts to Joe, it gives us a chance to watch the game. So, I think Everton, interestingly, Everton have scored the same amount of goals, I believe, in this half that they have in the last 6 Premier League games, I've been told. So they needed those goals, and Theo Walcott is delivering.
I think one transfer that has proved me wrong is maybe on Nautovic. She's displaying a good form at West Ham, didn't he? I remember us having a fair few conversations about how West Ham had conducted themselves over the summer. I think they made a couple of howlers, particularly Hernandez on 120k a week. But props to Arnautovic. You know, sometimes you just got to sort of call yourself when you get it wrong, and he's playing really well. He's a key man for David Moyes, isn't he?
Kyle Walker as well is a name you throw in there. I think he's been. I mean, we knew what Kyle Walker could do anyway from his time at Spurs, but he's I mean, that Man City team, it looks good.
We did question the price tag, though.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
So he's lived up to that.
Scotty, you're right back. He plays in your position. You've been impressed with him for Man City?
I really have. I think Pep's taken his game to another level. The defensive side, when to go forward and picking that final pass as well. I think he's now proven his stature as one of the best right-backs in the world. Not there yet. I don't think
he's there yet.
Yeah, but he's going in that direction.
OK, interesting.
Can I suggest a couple more?
Go on, yes. Go on, Alex. Suggest a few more.
A couple more which you didn't say. Edison at City.
OK, yeah, fair
and
enough.
possibly one for you, Smithy, Davinson Sanchez.
Yeah, Davinson Sanchez has been an interesting one, actually, because he's obviously... just another chance there. Record signing for Spurs. And what impressed me most about Davinson Sanchez is coming to an already good back line that Spurs had. For Tongan and Alderweireld. I mean, Toby Alderweireld, for me, I think is the greatest centre-back in the league, one of the best in the world.
I was scared about where you were going to go with that.
Well, interestingly, Paul Merson said to me recently that he thinks Davinson
Jones,
Toby Alderweireld is the best defender in the world. Currently, obviously, he's injured at the minute. But what's impressed me the most about Davinson Sanchez is coming...
You're going to want to go to Joe. You're going to want to go to Joe.
Joe! Sorry, what's happening with the Tottenham Man United game, Joe?
Don't even talk to me, Smithy. Phil Jones had an absolute howler. Jose Mourinho must be spitting with rage. It's one of the worst own goals I've seen so far this season.
Describe it, please.
The ball comes out wide to Kieran Trippier, who puts a ball across the 6-yard box, and Phil Jones has forgot which end he's scoring goals in and puts it top corner.
He almost did exactly the same thing against Chelsea, didn't he? And got away with it.
I actually can't describe how poor this bit of defending is by Phil Jones.
It's a great finish.
It's laughable. Phil Jones. That is
Harry Kane.
I love that Harry Kane just gets the rebound in as well. He's always in the right place at the right time.
He's trying to do there.
Why did that fan
If you're trying to clear it...
Kevin De Bruyne has just had a one-on-one as well, miss.
What a no.
What about his body position?
Joker, back to you. Kevin De Bruyne up.
Kevin De Bruyne has just had a one-on-one and really should have scored. It's actually a really good save by Ben Foster, low down to his left with his foot, but Pep Guardiola's going absolutely mental that Kevin De Bruyne has missed it. But quite frankly, Phil Jones, you're a disgrace.
How many people will Joe label a disgrace by the end of tonight?
Could be 10 to 15, mate. Could be 10 to 15.
Because you're already out.
To go back to bargain transfers, Pascal Gross as well.
Yes, a good shout.
Handful of goals and assists this season, and frankly, without him, I don't think Brighton would have even scored one.
Good shout. What was saying about Davinson Sanchez that's impressed me is he's come into an already good Tottenham team and plays every game, plays regularly. And also in the system, when Spurs play as a 3, he plays in the centre of the 3 with Toby and Jan. So it goes to show the trust that Poch has in him already. And he's a young player. I think he's been a great buy. Expensive buy for Tottenham, but a great buy. Any other names that you wanted to throw in?
I think that's just about it that I've had prepared, so maybe another question.
Another question. Well, you tell us.
This one is from YouTube, and it's from John Rajmurti, and he asks, how should Liverpool invest the Coutinho money, and what goalkeeper should they aim for?
It's a good point, that, because they haven't... They've obviously got Van Dijk in, big money for a defender, but they haven't looked to replace Coutinho. Do you think they needed to replace Coutinho? They've got a lot of quality going forward, or should they be just adding at the back?
No, that's the thing. You're never going to replace a Coutinho like for like. You're going to have to try and change maybe the way you play or bring in a different kind of calibre of player. But for me, it's... They weren't going to go after a goalkeeper in the January because what kind of number 1 are you going to get? Because the best goalkeepers are already going to be starting players for their other teams. I think when I look at the Liverpool team, we're saying about their back line, I think they need an old-fashioned number 4, someone who's going to sit in front of the defence and just do that kind of job. Because it doesn't always come down to that one defensive line. It's what the players do in front of you also.
Interesting. Are you surprised they haven't tried to replace Coutinho? Went in for someone like Mahrez?
See, I completely agree. I do think they need a utility forward who can play along the front line, but they need somebody who's happy to be on the bench. The few times I saw them try and play with Firmino, Coutinho, Mane and Salah this season, I thought they looked a little bit unbalanced, and I do think they need that person at the base of midfield. They'll have Naby Keita next season. He's great at linking midfield and attack, really intelligent, kind of poly-skilled player. But I think somebody like Jorginho they were linked to, he'd be absolutely sensational in that deep role. They need a huge amount of defensive work and somebody who can pass, because Klopp has said he wants Liverpool to be a possession side. But when you look at their midfielders, I don't see possession players. I see guys who are great kind of in chaos. They're great at running through the midfield. They need somebody who can get their foot on the ball and control the match, and that's why I think somebody like Jorginho.
He does pride himself, doesn't he, on Liverpool being more than the sum of their parts. So I don't think he's going to go out and replace like for like. Obviously, Van Dijk cost 75 mil, but I think Fabinho from Monaco would have been an interesting shout as well. Manchester United have been after him. He can potentially play right back as well. So plugs a couple of gaps for Liverpool, and maybe, you know, all go balls to the walls for Jan Oblak. 100 mil release clause from Atletico Madrid, one of the best keepers in Europe.
What do you think is going to happen with Emre Can? Because they're taking a gamble on him now.
I think he might go to Juventus. I think his future looks pretty much set. I've heard they offered him a new contract. He turned it down, and it seems like very sort of old lady, doesn't it, Turin Juventus business.
I feel like they've done everything to try and...
Guys, I've got to interrupt you there. There's a lot of noises coming from Joe. Either he's in pain or we have some news. Joe, what's happening? Is that a penalty for Spurs?
There should have been a definite penalty for Tottenham Hotspur. Valencia with a horrendous tackle around the back of Dele Alli,
that could be
lunging. But also Manchester City, Raheem Sterling running down the left-hand side, Neon with a terrible clearance from the ball in, and an absolute Martin Luther ping from Kevin De Bruyne off the top of the bar, struck it so sweetly. But it's all go in the Manchester City game because City are pummelling West Brom. It's the first time West Brom have been out their half in about the last 15 minutes.
Yeah, he was definitely Neon side. Alex, back to you for Social Sofa. What you got for us?
That is awful. OK, the next question. It is, what is the most random transfer rumour you've heard in this window? So I feel like we could basically just talk about Chelsea.
Yeah. Do you know what? Chelsea was random, but I found even Chelsea linked with, you know, Ashley Barnes, Crouch, Carroll, but Llorente for me was very strange because we only signed Llorente 3-4 months ago in the last transfer window, and he hasn't played much for us. So, and also Chelsea were linked with him then. So for me, that was a very random rumour.
And to me, it's made Chelsea seem a bit desperate.
Yeah.
So Chelsea fans, when all these names were being linked, Chelsea fans must have been, what is going on?
Yeah.
Peter Crouch, we're trying to sign Peter Crouch. No disrespect to him, because Peter Crouch scores goals, but to be linked with Chelsea, I bet he was already packing his bags.
It was almost like when the Football Manager found 20 heading and then just set it by the tallest strikers they could find and just thought Peter Crouch fits the bill.
Or another chance, Joe. David Silva, what happened there?
Oh, it's not a chance, it's a challenge from David Silva, and it is horrendous on Claudio Yacob. Over the top of the ball, midway up his shin, scraped all the way down it. Claudio Yacob is still in a heap. David Silva has got away with one big time. 100% should have been a straight red card. That is an awful tackle.
Really bad. Penalty shout up the top as well.
Penalty shout as well, Joe.
No, that's replays. That game's at half-time. That game's at half-time. Everybody relax.
Come on, Joe.
I'm just checking.
Alex, stop panicking me.
Alex, Scotty, are we having a half-time substitution, Scotty, for Joe? You don't think he's keeping up with play?
I'm checking. I'm having so much fun.
That's great to hear you're having fun.
Little faith.
OK, any more questions, guys? Social media. Any more transfer news as well? We're covering the game.
Nothing yet. I've been checking.
Zach, can I just say, you haven't pressed the button once.
I want to so
How desperate
badly.
are you for transfer news?
We could go down.
Come on, give us a transfer news.
Southend have signed Crystal Palace striker Freddie Ladapo on a 6-month loan deal with a 1-year option.
What's his name, Alex?
Freddie Ladapo.
Ladapo is correct. Ladapo is correct. Yeah, but
and there's a goal. Joe, back to you.
It's a replay, Smithy.
OK, no worries, Joe.
Go back to yourself.
OK, we're watching the EBS
I'll tell you when there's a goal,
Joe, he's missed so many goals. I don't know whether the replay one's not. Guys, back to you. What else are people talking about on social media right now?
Well, transfer-wise, there hasn't been much yet. I will be pressing that button, hopefully, by the end of the day. But someone has asked, what do you think of Laporte signing for City, and is it good business for how much he costs?
Laporte. I don't know, like...
Sorry, I was watching the game.
He is a great passer.
Yeah.
Alex, you were saying that before, right? Like, and he's left-sided, which is something they're definitely missing, right?
I think they're looking long-term. With the injuries to Vincent Kompany, their captain, they needed to start looking in that area to progress for next season. And they've been after him before, so this isn't one that's come from nowhere. Pep Sadie's eye on him, ready to sign him before, and they just feel like right now they needed him sooner rather than later.
Pellegrini might have tried to sign him 18 months ago, and he sort of said, I'm not ready now, come back in for me later, and they have. But I'm just a little bit surprised because he is so like for like with John Stones. But as you said, Vincent Kompany, 10 league games last season, I think 13 in the league before. Do you think his time at City is done to an extent?
I do. I think Pep...
Guys, never mind that. We've just been joined. Special guest. Jim White is in the house.
Press that buzzer!
Press the buzzer!
Never mind all that. How are we all doing?
Jim, how are you? Good evening, Jim. Good round of applause for Jim White, everyone.
Very much.
Jim, firstly...
doing anything else, really, anyway.
Firstly, thank you very much for joining us, because you are, I'm going to put it out there, the busiest person today. This is your day, deadline day. Tell us about what this day involves for you, because you're a busy man, aren't you?
Well, I mean, it is crazy. We're always accused of you're overhyping it, you're overdoing it. But we actually never overdo it, because it always delivers. And tonight it is delivered in no uncertain terms. And right from the word go this morning, I was pretty involved. Got in touch with Arsenal very early on, and they told me Aubameyang is at the training ground and he's having a medical. So when it's at that stage, you know something's going to happen here. This is going to kickstart the whole process, and that's exactly what's happened. So he joins. I mean, 60 million quid. I never thought that Arsenal would pay that kind of money. No. Aubameyang's in there with his flash cars and his suits. I'm looking forward to meeting him. And then after that, the other pieces of the jigsaw fall into place. So this has been a bit of a whirlwind, I have to say. It's been a great one, though. Batshuayi then gets... Is it Batshuayi? How do you pronounce it? Batshuayi. That's the official pronunciation. Michy Batshuayi. And he's in Dortmund now, so he's gone to Dortmund. And Olivier Giroud of Chelsea.
Yeah. That is a bargain, I think. Wow.
Jim, any deals bubbling that you can tell us, any exclusives that you can give us, ones that will go right down to the wire?
We know it's not looking as if Mahrez is going to move. But you never say never, because he's not at Goodison tonight with Leicester. Everton winning that one comfortably. Yeah. He's not there. So are there legs in that one yet? Could that still happen? It could. It might. It might. Johnny Evans constantly getting mentioned. Is he going to be out of West Brom? He's got people after him all the time. Arsenal love him, Man City. Pep loves him, Man City. And this fella, Amadou. Now, I don't know much about this boy from Lille, but apparently he's heading for St Pancras. And Crystal Palace have a delegation in that corner, and West Ham have a delegation in that corner. So there might be a little...
Jim, can I just say, the yellow tie is just as... even more so dashing in person. It's just like...
It's got a lot of mileage.
It's got a lot of mileage. It has to be dry cleaned every time the transfer window comes round, because normally there's soup, on one occasion, quite a hefty amount of bovril down it.
If you're going to spill something...
No, this is it. It can be yours after tonight, my friend.
Perfect. Get it signed, we'll take it back with us.
Jim, what's been your most memorable day that you can remember on transfer deadline day? Any stories that
is
happened?
Such a good question. There have been so many, I have to say. You probably remember the night that Berbatov ended up at Manchester United, and Robinho, I thought he was going to go to Chelsea, but he ended up at Manchester City. Welbeck to Arsenal, never thought I'd see that. Ozil to Ireland, now tonight Ozil in the news, a massive deal for him, 3.5-year deal, 300 grand a week. I personally would not have settled for that, but that's just me. I mean, there have been so many moments that I honestly cannot give you one specific one. I remember going into a commercial break and my phone going, it just said Redknapp. And it wasn't Jimmy, it was Harry. And Harry was just saying, just to let you know, Jim, Robbie Keane, Harry was the manager of Tottenham at the time, on his way up to Scotland, he's joining Celtic. And I'm like, what? Wow. And he was on his way up to Celtic Park to sign on loan. We put that out, and about 20 minutes later, I was told by a friend who was in the crowd, 3,500 Celtic fans outside Celtic Park are waiting for Robbie.
He won Player of the Season that year, and he arrived in January. So, memorable season for Celtic.
Big Celtic fan. Jim, on that note, because I know you well, I know that you are the first person to break news. A lot of calls coming to you. Give us an indication of how busy and how much your phone rings on deadline day, because you get the scoops before most people, don't you?
Well, I mean, I like to think so. It's just because I'm 108 years of age and I've been doing this a long time. It all comes down to who you know, as you know. You and I have spoken about this before. It's all about contacts. We're in a contacts business, and you've got to keep in touch with people. And they will get in touch with me, and whether it's a club owner, a chairman, maybe a player, mostly agents. You've got to watch what they say. So the information's coming in there and you just got to sift your way through it. But it's terrific. It's great. It's a feeling like no other, I have to say. Yeah. This one has been special.
Yeah, 2018, the most money ever spent in a January transfer window. Did you see that coming?
No, I didn't. I honestly didn't. And I was worried because our critics are out there. They're like, on Sky Sports News, Jim White, the yellow tie, it'll all be about him and not about the deals that are going down. I'm delighted to say it's not about me. It's about what has been an incredible window and not over yet. I mean, some of the business that is being done is amazing at both ends of the table, which is brilliant. I mean, for Giroud to be now a Chelsea player.
Yeah.
Don't it? It still hurts me.
A few weeks ago, I could
Alex
never
Scott is not happy about that.
Are you not happy?
Still
about
hurts
that?
me.
No.
I just think, look, I would have liked him to stay at Arsenal. He's been a great servant. He scores goals, and the fact that Aubameyang can't play in the Europa, like, we need him.
There he is. There's
you've
Giroud
sold
in a
him for
Chelsea top.
rival.
Scotty.
Look at that beard.
Yeah.
To die for.
Yeah, it is an amazing story. It really is incredible. He didn't want to leave London, no matter what. He wanted to stay in London, and he's got his wish. He's played it very well indeed. And now he's got to impress that lot, because Chelsea fans will be looking for a big return from him. It's a big deal. It's about 18 million quid.
But Jim, that's the thing as well, isn't it? There's so many parts to transfer deals that actually people don't know about. It can be down to a player, the location, like you said, Giroud wanted to stay in London. It could be about going because they want to play in World Cups. But you mentioned agents as well. Agents have a huge part in completing these deals.
Oh, they do. I mean, can you imagine being Aubameyang's agent this morning? Arsenal go to Swansea last night. You'd expect them ordinarily, no disrespect to Swansea, to win. They lose 3-1. In comes the cavalry in the shape of Aubameyang. You're the agent, like, take a wee bit longer to negotiate this deal, I think. Pierre-Emerick, you stay quiet, I'll do the deal. So, yeah, I mean, what a great position of power he was in today, whoever looks after that boy.
Wasn't Mino Raiola, was it?
Mino Raiola, wow, Mino Raiola, an incredible individual. I mean, these guys operate at a level you and I could only, we can't even imagine. Can't even imagine.
Scary figures.
Yeah, and they are braver than brave.
Didn't he buy Al Capone's house after the Pogba deal?
He was after Al Capone's house.
Wow. You need to have money for that, don't you, Jim?
Over in Miami, he just outbid me. And it was a shame because it went to tender very late on in the day. What a kitchen Al had. But no, I mean, these people like Mino Raiola and
George
Mendes, they operate at a level that, honestly, we cannot imagine. It's crazy. It's crazy. Not bad being the same agent, the one agent of Pogba and of Mkhitaryan. Players like that at that level of Zlatan, and this is Mino Raiola we're talking about. I mean, amazing.
Zlatan, Jim, have you heard anything about Zlatan? A few people saying that he might be off, he might be staying. What do you know about Zlatan?
I did a funny thing the other day. It looked, all directions for him look to be pointing towards the MLS, don't they? And New York Galaxy. LA Galaxy. I've just invented a new club there.
A new franchise, it could work.
A new franchise, never mind Beckham. What about New York Galaxy? I would be disappointed to see him go because he did not disappoint. I don't know if you guys, Alex, you'd probably agree with me.
Great character.
He was phenomenal at Manchester United, and he took it to another level again. So Zlatan is Zlatan. I'd love him to stay here. When we heard the other day that Chelsea had been in for Crouch, which I'm not sure about, that they'd maybe been in for Carroll, which again I'm not sure about, but they were in for Dzeko at Roma, and they failed in all three, and now they settled on Giroud. I thought, Zlatan, Chelsea, what a great fit. And we put it out there, and a lot of Chelsea fans gave that the thumbs up. If that could happen, that would be great. Now, I think that would have been phenomenal if Zlatan had stayed in the Premier League. I'd love to have seen him, but what a guy. What a guy. I hope he doesn't go out there, because I think, Smithy, if he goes out there, it's, you know, Steven Gerrard went out there, and I saw him play out there for Galaxy, and it wasn't for him. It shouldn't have been for him. He was still better than that.
Really? Yeah. And with that said, Jim, putting you on the spot a bit here, but what's the strangest or weirdest thing you've seen on deadline day, or a deal that you've heard that you couldn't quite believe at the time? Is there...
Odem Wingate,
looking back, the Odem Wingy deal, is that one that you...
Odem Wingate, yeah, I remember that. I mean, there have been many. I remember being surprised at the allowances that were being made for Arsenal to get Andrei Arshavin over the line. And they were late with that
it was
signing.
late, wasn't it? Yeah.
They actually shouldn't have signed. They missed the deadline, but there was a story that came about that it was the weather that caused him to be late, and that's why he was late in London. So he's got to sign tomorrow. It was a flurry of snow, no more than. I mean, there wasn't too much of a blizzard going on.
Even saying on that, I suppose the bizarre one was with Leicester City last year, with the player missing the deadline.
Yeah. So moments like that, you know, you're kind of wrong-footed a bit. You can never. I always say it: expect the unexpected. You never know right up until the last moment what is going to happen.
Well, Jim, thank you very much for your time, particularly on deadline day, because you're so busy. Deadline day, catch it, Sports News, 10 o'clock. You're on, aren't you? 10 till 11, the last hour.
That's right, 10 till 11.
So we'll let you get going, guys. Give it up for Jim White. Thank you very much, Jim.
I'm going to come find you for the tie, Jim.
The tie is yours, my boy.
Joe, over to you. How good was that, Joe? Jim White in the house.
Yeah, I have to say I wasn't concentrated, so anything could have been said. Then I was watching the games. Not much has happened really, other than David Silva coming off injured after that really nasty tackle that he put in on Jakob. He's been replaced by Ilkay Gundogan. We've also got an injury at Stoke, but not too much else has happened. Harry Kane had a decent half chance, but all the other 7:45s are about to start their second half games, and the 8 o'clocks are about to finish their first half. So United, City and Watford are all about to end their first half, and everybody else has just kicked off for the second.
OK, right, with that said then, thank you very much. Let's go back to Social Corner. Alex, what are people saying on social?
So it's more questions about Man City. So this man on Twitter wants to know...
No, wait a minute.
Oh.
Nothing breaking yet, but Mangala has been spotted in Everton's training ground.
Oh, OK.
That is breaking.
Finch Farm.
Finch Farm indeed.
Very good knowledge. Good knowledge.
That's the breaking news, is it?
That is the breaking news.
So just been spotted.
Possible loan.
Firstly, thoughts on the use of the buzzer for a news that hasn't actually signed? I mean, were you having that?
My favourite use of the buzzer ever was the summer alternative transfer
just digging
deadline day that we did, and Zach buzzed it for a Koscielny ACL injury out for the rest of the season. Came back the next week.
Right. He also buzzed to say Johnny Evans was not moving.
Alex,
that was good.
So
you were saying before the buzzer, right?
A question from Twitter about Man City. Basically, will they win the quadruple now that they've strengthened their squad?
The questions about the quadruple always seem a little bit over the top, don't they? I think Pep clearly feels like he has to strengthen in 1 or 2 key positions, especially now Sane is injured. I think Sane contributing to, 33 goals in terms of goals and assists 23, sorry, in 33 games. So they're going to be big shoes to fill. If they can't get Riyad Mahrez over the line, do they have the strength and depth to compete on 4 fronts, Alex? I imagine, as a player, the mind boggles at the concept, at the prospect of winning 4 trophies.
Are you looking at me because I've done it?
Well, Alex Scott has done it. Scotty, tell us about that.
You got to get the brush off.
Yeah, 2007, Arsenal quadruple. Actually, more, because we won the Community Shield that season as well.
So it's what's 5? What is that? The treble, quadruple, sink.
That's bad.
But it is. But as players, you kind of get on a roll. You're in a zone, you're on a feeling, and that year it just felt like it was going to happen. Like we knew going into every game, the FA Cup game, we were going to win it, and then we had the Champions League the next week, and we're just like. It was just like we knew this was happening. It was special. So I suppose those Man City players at the moment, the style of play, the confidence in them, they will believe that it's achievable.
Did you find yourself prioritising certain tournaments then over each other, or is it just let's win every single game?
It really is the old cliche. Vic, our manager at the time, who's like, this is our focus. We're not even thinking about that. We need to win this one first. And that's how we went into every game. We just had to be so ruthless and have our mentality right going into that game before we even thought about anything else.
Yeah, you won a lot of trophies. Remind us how many trophies you've won again? I know that you know this off the top of your head.
No. Do you know what? I actually don't. And I'm moving house next month, so I'll get up in the loft. And then when I'm going through the boxes, I'll let you know.
Roughly, FA Cups, I know that.
FA, I think there's a debate whether it's 7 or 9.
Right.
So I know I'm in between that. Over 10 league titles.
What's the debate, sorry?
Yeah.
Is it too controversial?
Why is it
some
7
people
or
are
9?
saying, they don't know the actual thing. So I suppose until I actually...
I suppose when you've won over 5, you're just like,
call it 9.
Just like,
do you know, it is that way, because we always had the mentality at Arsenal, OK, we've won the title or the FA Cup this year, but we want to win it again.
Right.
We'll go again. It was never resting on our laurels that one was enough. So I've not counted them.
We've just wikied it.
Oh,
there we go.
Including internationals. 24.
Really?
wow. Older.
Mental.
24.
And more years in the trophy cabinet
than how old I am.
Yeah.
Scotty, where do you keep all your trophies? You're saying moving house. Where are they at the minute? Or your medals?
In the loft.
In the loft?
Yeah,
Why do players keep medals in the loft? If I wanted that, they'd be front and centre.
You can't
They'd be in the driveway if I wanted that.
You can't have your house becoming a shrine. That's your place where you go to
Well, you say that.
It's where you go. I spend all day at the training ground, so when I go home, it's to switch off and have my time. Then I go home and watch football. But I don't want to be going in looking at my medals. I have got my 100th cap on the
Was that?
and my shirt.
Was your 100 cap? That's the funny.
Sorry, guys.
Go on.
This is a Premier League transfer.
Go on.
Goal as well. There's a goal.
There's a goal. Right, we haven't had this situation. There's a transfer and there's a goal.
big goal.
We're going to Joe first. Overruling Alex. Joe, what's happened?
Bournemouth have scored away at Chelsea to put them 1-0 up.
Wow.
It's a big goal. And Bournemouth have actually been playing really, really well in this game, but Bakayoko, hang your head in shame. He has given the ball away in a really silly area. Jordan Ibe has tapped it in. I'm not sure who has actually scored the goal. Jordan Ibe's got the assist.
Is he a disgrace, Joe? Or what?
Callum Wilson.
Sorry, Callum Wilson scored the goal and Jordan Ibe got the assist. There was also a great chance in the Burnley-Newcastle game. Burnley had a really good chance when Ashley Barnes went through and blazed the one-on-one over the bar. But yes, Bournemouth are 1-0 up against Chelsea.
Oh, it's a lovely finish.
Zach, what are you thinking, mate? Because this is embarrassing.
Zach, of course, you are a big Chelsea fan. 1-0 down Bournemouth.
It gets worse and worse. We seem to beat the big teams when it comes to doing the easy stuff like beating smaller teams. No offence, Bournemouth. It's just not happening.
4 goals and 6 for Callum Wilson. Don't forget there was a goal, but there was also the buzzer for the Premier League transfer. We still don't know what the transfer is.
Alex. Badu Ndiaye has completed his move from Galatasaray to Stoke. I mean, I know it's not a massive deal, but it's
Scotty, top 10 things about that player you like about him.
See what you did there? We're supposed to be mates.
Just going back to trophies, have you seen Smithy's showreel? Because that's pinned to the top of your Twitter, isn't it?
It's a bit different, isn't it? Showreel to a trophy. A little bit different.
My new mate.
Thoughts on that transfer, Pato?
He's a midfielder, I think. Is that correct?
correct.
So
Good thoughts on that transfer, Pato. Thank you very much.
you're welcome.
Any other bubbling transfers? Because it's been a bit quiet this last hour.
It has been really quiet. Do you want some more on Ndiaye?
Go on.
Sure. Senegalese central attacking midfielder, 5'11", and that is FIFA knowledge.
Swansea
Hang on a minute, what was that point there?
Well, hold on as well. Swansea have officially signed Andre Ayew. It's just gone
decent.
through.
Hit the buzzer then, mate.
£18 million on a 3.5-year deal.
Oh my God.
That jump. What did you want to say? You jumped at 3.5-year deal there.
Yeah, because it's surprising the position where they are. If they go down, is there a
There must be a clause in there, you thought.
And these brothers down there as well, right?
Yes.
So you can see the connection why may want to have gone there. Sunday dinners and all of that lot.
But,
it seems like we're not really that excited about that transfer. You seem to think, as the panel, that it's a lot of money to spend on him. Am I right?
They only sold him in the summer for 20 mil. Like, I mean, he hasn't done much since then to suggest that he's the guy to get you out of trouble. I think he's got 2 goals, 3 assists.
Yeah.
He's played about 900 minutes. I mean, he's also spent quite a lot of time out injured. He's 28 years old. He probably has a pretty decent wage.
Yeah.
Reunited with his brother, though. Keeping it in the family, so quality.
Weren't we hearing about 10 days ago that George Mendes was going to load his clients into Swansea, and now they're getting Andre Ayew back? Maybe they're just going through the phones of all the players they currently have and seeing if anybody can play for them. Get a Beatty Pele in. He was pretty good.
OK, on that note, Alex, obviously we're talking about the Premier League. You are our Championship guru. Alex is a big Reading fan, as we've mentioned earlier. Give us a bit of a roundup of the main Championship stories you've seen.
So the biggest one for me has to be Tim Cahill returning to Millwall. So he was a legend there, of course. He scored the goal. Did he score in the FA Cup final?
Scored the famous goal, didn't he?
Yeah, and then, of course, returning to Millwall.
Was it Wembley?
We've got another one in Jack Harrison. He was at New York City. Then he went to the franchise Manchester City and then got loaned out to Middlesbrough. He must have been gutted with that when he thought he was moving to Man City.
I thought he was in with Stoke.
No, he went on loan to Middlesbrough.
3.5 mil or something.
And what's the last one? Alex Pritchard, a boy who was at Spurs.
Former Spurs player,
Went on loan loads of times, like 6 times, I believe. Went on loan to Brentford, did really well there. Then went to Norwich and has now gone to Huddersfield in the Premier League. So could do stuff there. And
you still want some more Reading activity, don't you?
I'd like us to sign a whole new squad if possible.
And talking about the Championship, the Wolves, I mean, they are storming that league. Fully expect them to go and win the league, spending a lot of money as well.
Yeah,
are they a club you think will spend big again in the summer?
Yeah, they seem to be absolutely loaded with money at the moment. So they signed Ruben Neves, who was so highly touted at Porto, young midfielder, youngest captain in the Champions League at Porto. So he's a holding midfielder. Who else have they got?
Good knowledge.
They put in a bid
Stat Wars,
for
that, right?
Yeah, very good.
Well.
Jota from Atletico Madrid, who looks like he might be going there permanently in the summer as well. So of course Wolves are now going to go up. So now they can make signings which are Premier League quality.
There's another club right there being loaded with George Mendes clients because they've got Chinese owners, haven't they?
He's
and
involved,
Chinese
isn't he?
owners to pay George Mendes to be a special advisor, and it's all very
definitely.
It's an incredible league as well, because I was with you when we covered Championship playoff final, Reading, Huddersfield, and obviously Reading were 1 kick away from being a Premier League team this year.
Don't remind me,
now you look at
cry.
Did you see me cry? Did I cry?
He did actually cry, to be fair. He did actually cry. I'm not saying this to wind you up, but you were so close in the Premier League, and now you're in a bit of a relegation dogfight. I know you won, I believe, against Burton last night, but it goes to show how hard it is to get out of that league.
It's a sorry state of affairs, because like you say, we were literally one kick away from the Premier League. Would we have stayed up if we went up? I don't think so. But you look at Huddersfield, they're doing all right. They've had the money to invest. If we had the money, would we have done it? There's no point speculating. We're now like 17th in the Championship and it's all gone downhill. But
on that miserable note, we'll move on from Reading. Joe, what's been going on in the action? Back over to you.
Well, City could be in a bit of trouble. I'm actually still on half-time on the Man City game, but they're re-showing an incident in the first half, and Fernandinho could be in for a ban here in retrospective, I think 3 games at least. A horrendous stamp on Gregor Krychowiak just above his knee. And it's really, really nasty from Fernandinho. No need for it either. 2 bad tackles, one from David Silva, one from Fernandinho in that first half. I'd be really surprised if Fernandinho doesn't get banned for that incident retrospectively, because the referee didn't see it.
Yeah, Joe, they're lucky not to be down to 9 men then, aren't they? They've got away with both of them.
Yeah, both
is that Lucas Moura as well, being paraded at Wembley at half-time in the Spurs?
Yeah, Lucas Moura and the new Stoke signing has also appeared, but I don't even think any of the Stoke fans care about him, so the stadium's empty, quite frankly. That game's as boring as it sounds. But not much else is happening around the other games.
Choosing which stand to clap.
Very lucky looking at those two. I mean, that's 2 definite red cards, isn't it? Man City very lucky, both of them still on the pitch.
Question. This one is probably more to you, Chris. It comes from Tiki Tackers, and he says, thoughts on Charlie Musonda to go to Celtic on 18-month loan?
Oh, thanks, Zach, mate. Picking a Celtic question. You little sweetheart. Well, I heard 24 clubs. Smith, are you paying attention, mate? I heard 24 clubs wanted it. So I think we've pulled off a real coup by getting him. And we could have an attacking, front 4 of Patrick Roberts, Moussa Dembele, Edouard, and Charlie Musonda. So that's really exciting. I think he'll help us out in a game against Zenit St. Petersburg, obviously looking to go deep in that competition. So, yeah, I'm really excited, mate, really excited.
Oh, got to give you some time there. Well, breaking news, according to Sky sources, Islam Somani has passed his medical at Newcastle. Ooh. And that's it, man.
Oh, are you surprised at that one?
Well worth interrupting us for.
I am.
Leicester are letting a lot of players go, it seems, and it's not really bringing anyone in.
He costs 30 million. He's better with his head. He'd be better off getting a teammate to whack it at his head than shoot himself.
You're not surprised at that deal, Pato?
They've got an awful lot of strikers there. They've, of course, got Vardy Okazaki. They've got Iheanacho as well, who's a big one.
Iheanacho,
I love Iheanacho as well. I think that Iheanacho will come good there.
Yeah.
He's been excellent when he's played in the Cup. And I believe they've signed a young forward as well.
From the French second division.
Diabate.
I was going to say Diabate, but I'm not confident. Okay.
That is his name.
But yeah, Puel's plucked in from the second division in France. But I do like Iheanacho, but unfortunately doesn't fit in the same system as Jamie Vardy, does he?
No.
So
we've got footage now. We can see this is Stoke's new signing that we can show you right now. David Ndiaye, there he is. Joe was saying that it's quite empty. Badu Ndiaye. They're saying it's quite empty there, Joe. You were saying.
He is literally waving to no one in those shots you're looking at.
Smith, I've got a quick question for Alex. How does it feel to be paraded as a player? Is it a little bit awkward just going around the stadium?
By the way, can you just say brilliantly, when you said I've got a question for Alex, how did it feel to be paraded? Alex Emery went, go on, to answer it. So, Alex Emery, when have you been paraded around there?
Lowering the tone, Alex.
Yeah, maybe we should have nicknames out there.
Yeah, Alex Scott. Alex Scott. How does it feel?
I don't know, I find it quite, like you're waving, or when we've been on the pitch to show the fans our trophies. I don't know, I'm quite shy about it. I would rather not do it.
Do you pick someone in the crowd to wave at? Just like, you're the one.
That's the thing, I try not to make eye contact. I'm like, yeah, thank you, over there. But because I'm quite shy about it.
I'd be milking it.
Nah,
so would you.
I would be milking. Joe, back over to you. That's like Aaron Lennon coming on.
Just finishing a mouthful of pizza there, but yeah, Aaron Lennon has come on for his Burnley debut. Burnley are actually playing all right. They've turned it on a little bit since the penalty, but he's coming on now for his debut. All else is quite quiet, I'll be honest. Brighton have had a couple chances. Not much else going on. Can't really tell you much, Smith.
OK, not been a goal for a little while. Zach, what are people talking about at the minute?
Well, again, there are a couple of things about Andre Ayew, but on Facebook, Tom has asked, what do you think of Delafeu's loan move to Watford?
Yeah, we touched on this earlier, didn't we? I think it's, I mean, for Watford, certainly that's that's quite a good signing, isn't it? It's a loan deal. Interesting seeing a lot of loans in January because a lot of clubs don't like committing big money in January halfway through the season. That's a good move for Watford, isn't it? Yeah, definitely. They need that creativity. They've got Richarlison, who is very good off the left, but they might want to play him through the middle. And I think Pereira obviously has been injured a couple of times this season as well. So I think, I don't know, it's a low-risk signing. And if he pays off, and he tends to pay off in the short term, then he might actually help them out over the back half of the season. I don't know if there's an option to buy. But usually in these things there is. And I don't know, Watford's owners are the Pozzi, who also own Udinese, and they're normally pretty savvy about getting underrated players for cheap prices. So if he has a good second half of the season, they might be able to pick him up for under 10 mil, which would be great.
Players like him kind of frustrate me sometimes, though. They've got so much talent and you can see it's there, but it's like they never fulfil it. And I think that's what's been his problem. That's why he's going from club to club, because ultimately managers have game plans and you need those players to go across that. Yes, they have sparkles of magic that you need them to implement, but ultimately they're out there to follow a game plan. And he seems to be one that maybe he doesn't take it on board and does his own things in games, and that's where he ends up being on a bench and moving from club to club.
I watched an interview where Fernando Hierro said he could be one of the greatest Spanish players ever. That's how good he was at youth level. But then when you watch him play for Barcelona, you're like, oh mate, you just sort of look like you don't belong or feel like you don't belong. But hopefully he can get back to that Everton
This
form
is one for Pato and Chris. You just speak so highly about this person. We've got footage. We've got still of Andre Ayew signing his 3.5-year deal. How excited are you now that you've seen this, Chris?
Oh, I'm buzzing, mate. Absolutely electric scenes.
That's just
I have nothing else to say about him. Sorry, mate. Sorry to sell you down the river.
No worries at all. Zach, what more you got for us?
Well, Alex, even.
Is it my turn?
Yeah, your turn for the question, my friend.
We're kind of doing it back and forth.
Whatever works for you, man.
OK. So do you think that the fact Real Madrid haven't made any signings indicates that Zidane's days are numbered, and that comes from Maurizio Pochettino on Facebook?
Oh, well done. Well done. Thoughts on that one? Scotty, come to you first.
Me? You don't want to answer that one, no?
No, not really. No, let's move on. Let's move on. Zidane, it is interesting, isn't it, looking at Real Madrid's form this year compared to last year? I mean, it's they've struggled. I mean, Spurs beat them, obviously. They're miles behind. Why do you think that is, that they were so good last year and this year with a very similar team, they're just not doing it?
It can go down to motivation from players. Like I said before, our mentality was always, when we win the league or the FA Cup, it's always about the sign of a true champion is winning it again. But as a player, it's having that motivation to do it all again. And we've seen it before with, well, Chelsea last season and this season. They can't. It's harder to retain those trophies. And sometimes it's having a different voice or different training techniques on the training ground. You just don't know what's going on there.
Chris, do you think Zidane will be the head coach of Real Madrid this time next year?
I mean, he's just signed a new contract, hasn't he? Which means relatively nothing. Under Florentino Perez. I think Jose did the same. I think Ancelotti did the same. They were both subsequently sat within 6 months and a year, respectively. I kind of think he will. Real Madrid have been really unfortunate this season. If you look at Ronaldo's expected goals, you can see that they've deserved to score more goals and be more successful than they have done.
Goal! Got to stop you there. There's been another goal.
Worries, go on,
and it's a big goal as well. There's been a goal at Stamford Bridge, but who to? Joe Tomlinson.
Oh, it's 2-0 to Bournemouth. Junior Stanislas is the one with it. Just queuing up the replay right now. Ball, I think, is fed in. Callum Wilson feeds it in. Junior Stanislas runs through, unchallenged, slots it under. Thibaut Courtois, as easy as you'll see, away to a top-6 team. Unacceptable from Chelsea. Just really, really poor defensively. They look a little bit dodgy since Christensen's come off, and I have to say, Thibaut Courtois should probably do better. It's gone under him and between his legs. Tap in, really, for Junior Stanislas. 2-0 to Bournemouth at the Bridge.
And the 8 o'clocks are back as well, Joe. Spurs, Man United, how's that going? Still 2-0?
Still 2-0. Harry Kane had a chance. It was deemed offside. It was very, very close. He was through one-on-one. David De Gea pulling off his usual witchcraft anyway, but it was a good chance. And Everton have also just had a good chance. But yeah, the 8 o'clocks have just kicked off. So now I am trying to watch 7 games again. So chaos ensues.
Best luck. Yeah, Theo Walcott looks to be on fire there. Another chance for Theo Walcott searching for his hat-trick. Alex, I know you're eating some pizza, so we've got Zach for the next update.
I'm living. We're losing. We're losing.
Can I just say, social sofa there consisted of one of our team, Alex eating a pizza, and Zach just not even paying attention. So, can one of you provide us this?
He doesn't remember a time when Chelsea
goal.
Back to Joe.
Back to Jim.
Another goal, Joe. What's happening? Back to you.
It's Stevens for Southampton.
Yes, he's in my team.
He has equalised against Brighton. It's kind of squirmed through from a free kick on the byline, almost a sign of, kind of like a corner but closer in. Ward-Prowse, ball in across the floor. It's squirmed through a few bodies, and Stevens has just got a touch on it, and it's enough to guide it in to the back post. That's 1-1. Brighton versus Southampton, but the wall, I have to say, the wall is not good enough. Querido should be unhappy with his positioning. Not really good enough. Is that another goal as well at Newcastle? I think Jamal Lascelles has just scored as well. As I said, it is chaos, and we're trying to watch 7 games. Rafa Benitez is happy. He goes 1-0 up against Burnley. Previously, they'd already missed a penalty. Shock is from a set piece. I think it's Matt Ritchie delivering it in. Jamal Lascelles. They were connecting brilliantly at the start of the season, and yet again, it's a free header 6 yards out. Sean Dyche will not be happy because he prides himself on defensive stability. Smithy, back to you, mate. I need a break.
Loads going on. Thank you very much, Joe. Look how animated Joe was. Loads going on. Zach, back to you guys. You did have a question for us. Yeah. What have you got for us?
Well, we were talking about Chelsea, so why not talk about Ross Barkley? Is the £15 million good value for him, considering he's been injured for so long as well?
We're going back to Ross Barkley.
Yeah, I know, that's a real drop-off, isn't it? 15 million quid for Ross Barkley is...
3-0 It's all going on!
Is that Nathan Ake?
Come back over here. Would you believe it?
Wow.
Nathan Ake against his former club.
Did he celebrate?
Yes, he did. 3-0 up at Stamford Bridge. And Nathan Ake has celebrated. Conte looks like he's seen a ghost, and it's probably his own one because he's going to be out the door soon. This is an absolute shocker. 3-0 against Bournemouth at home. Just seeing the goal now. It's from a corner. Nathan Ake,
for crying out loud,
kind of squirms around in the box a little bit. Callum Wilson sets it back.
You reined that in really well, Zach.
And... Callum Wilson kind of smacks it across the box. I think is it Wilson?
I think that's
Stanislas and Nathan Ake.
Oh no, he's come off the Chelsea defender.
Nathan Ake has just deflected a Stanislas shot into the bottom corner. 3-0 at the Bridge. What is going on?
This feels like Roma all over again.
Back to you, lads. Back to you.
Look at Joe. The veins are popping from Joe's head. He's really enjoying this role, isn't he? And he celebrated Joe as well. Really did celebrate against his former club, didn't he?
What a blessing.
Smithy, what do you think to his faith? His barber took it a little bit higher than he wanted, but I think that's quite good.
No, there's something going on. Joe, what's happening in the Watford game as well?
Straight through.
I don't know, mate. I'm watching 7 games. Anything could have happened.
Something going on in the Watford game. It looks like a little bit of a...
Mame Baram has apparently pushed... Is it...
It's a headbutt by the looks of it.
Troy Deeney's getting involved.
It could be on... Mame Baram has been having a go all game, and I think it's on Kabasele. He's been having a go all game, though. It is on Kabasele, and it might be a headbutt or a push to the face. So Mame Baram could be in a bit of trouble at Stoke. If he is adjudged to have pushed him in the face, then it could well be a red card for Mame Baram against Watford.
Right. At least something's happened, though.
It's always nice when you're an Arsenal fan and Chelsea take the heat off you the day after a horrible...
Oh, my goodness. Is that how a lot of Arsenal fans will be feeling right now, Pastor?
I just hope for a worse result the next day. That's all I want, so I don't have to talk about the Arsenal one anymore.
This is worse than Roma.
I can't believe that you sold Nathan Ake and bought Rudiger.
We have a buyback.
I think he's a better player.
He is a better player. He's Dutch.
Right, so just wrap up the scores at the minute as we go. Chelsea are 3-0 down at home to Bournemouth. Callum Wilson, Junior Stanislas and Nathan Ake. Everton leading 2-0 at home at Goodison Park to Leicester. No Riyad Mahrez in the squad, of course. Not injured, just not selected as we thought. He may have gone to Man City. That deal is now off. Theo Walcott with both and was close to grabbing his hat-trick. Newcastle 1-0 up against Burnley. That is Jamal Lascelles. Southampton is 1-0 at Brighton. Glenn Murray and Jack Stevens with the equaliser. Man City are leading 1-0 against West Brom. Fernandinho after a great bit of play from Kevin De Bruyne. Stoke City, Watford is still 0-0. And Joe, the other result that I don't know if you're quite aware of is Tottenham 2, Manchester United 0.
I didn't realise that game was happening, Smithy.
Christian Eriksen and Phil Jones' own goal. I repeat, that's Tottenham 2, Manchester United 0. Do you have any thoughts on that so far?
Yeah, it's a bit of an odd one, isn't it, Smith? I mean, Manchester United have kind of been piling on the pressure. I've seen nothing of Alexis Sanchez this game, but on the positive, at least our manager will be there next season. So, looking forward to Pochettino in that Madrid dugout, mate.
Very good one, very good one. So, yeah, Chelsea 3-0 down at home to Bournemouth. You did your predictions. None of you got near that, did you? Is Conte under pressure now?
I think I've got a single one right.
Is Conte under pressure? Won the league last season. They're 3-0 down at home to Bournemouth.
I wouldn't say under pressure. Well, there's been discontent. Oh, sorry, great effort there from the Chelsea player.
Okay?
As we're speaking,
Right.
it was a great effort. you know, all season there's been talk with Conte not happy with the signings coming in the summer, and now again here. He's a frustrated manager, and I think the fans are frustrated with everything that's going on. You don't want to hear about all that sort of stuff that's coming out from your team.
Penalty shout, Joe, at Wembley. Tottenham against Man United.
Yeah, could have been a penalty to Manchester United. Would have been quite soft though. The ball is played to the back post from a corner, finds the head of Alexis Sanchez, heads it straight away onto Son. It's a little bit too close, I'd say, for a penalty. They're asking for handball, but not for me. Also, in the game against Bournemouth, Chelsea has Marcos Alonso on the edge of the box, been scoring for fun, we know, this season, has just smashed one inches wide of Begovic's upright. So Chelsea trying to get back into the game, but 3-0, looks like it's already done and dusted. Man United as well, pushing quite hard for one back against Spurs.
Thank you very much, Joe. Yeah, 1 hour, 48 minutes and 2 seconds left of the transfer window. We'll be with you. People need to know the exact time. They need to know this information. We'll be with you for another 45 minutes covering all the games and covering the transfers. Do not forget after us to head over to Sky Sports News to join Jim White and the guys for the rest of deadline day. There's still a few deals bubbling, Alex. What can you tell us?
All penalty.
Oh, back to...
To who?
Penalty for Leicester against Everton. Wayne Rooney is kicking right off. It was a weird incident. It kind of happened off the ball. It looked like Wayne Rooney pulled Ndidi back.
Vardy's going to take it.
Did he pull him? Indeed he did.
It looked like he pulled him back. It's quite soft. It's quite soft, but it's been given. It is a penalty to Leicester City in the game against Everton. It's off the ball incident. Wayne Rooney doesn't need to pull him back, and he has. Right decision, in my opinion, and... Who steps up? I think it might well be Jamie Vardy stepping up for Leicester.
Usually Mahrez.
Yeah, Mahrez apparently, according to Hamill, usually takes it. It's Jamie Vardy, though, stepping up at Goodison Park against Jordan Pickford, trying to claw a goal back, obviously, after Walcott's opening 2. And he has done. Pickford moves so early. Vardy put it on the opposite direction. 2-1 to Everton. But 1 goal back for the Foxes.
You weren't confident.
No, I see. I'm from Leicester, so I'm a bit of a Leicester fan, a bit of a vested interest in this. But he's too straight on all the time in his penalties.
That's just me personally.
Is there actual research in that, though? Like, how many steps you take back? Oh, he's going to miss it. Oh, left-footers, they don't really
just that feeling, isn't it,
Too
Alex?
straight on. Like,
it's just the feeling.
Alex and Chris, you're not having Chris's description there.
Mahrez steps up and I think, cultured, he's got this. I think.
Oh, what's the save by Lurie?
Joe, Tottenham Man United is a good start to the second half of this game, isn't it? What's happening in that game?
Really good start to the second half. Man United applying the pressure. Ball clipped over the top by Paul Pogba. Romelu Lukaku running in behind. Out-muscles Ben Davis. Smashes one from the edge of the 6-yard box. Absolutely wellies it. Lurie does incredibly well to palm it over the bar and not back out into treble. But at Stamford Bridge, there's a potential penalty. It's not been given, but Pedro has headed the ball onto Nathan Ake's hand. Doesn't look like a penalty. He's too close. Would have been very, very harsh.
Sorry, Zach.
But it's all going the games because Southampton have a free kick right on the edge of Brighton's area as well. James Ward-Prowse stepping up. He is a fantastic free kick taker, but no, couldn't get it over the top of the wall, so ignore me.
Yeah, James Ward-Prowse, fantastically. We're chatting to Charlie Austin about James Ward-Prowse. That is on our YouTube channel very soon. What's happened, Joe? Back to you.
Sorry, back to you,
Joe. Go on,
mate. It's Hosselu again, dearie me, dragging his shot this time. The lad is having a stinker. He's got a chance on the edge of the 6-yard box, kind of on the corner of it, one-on-one, drags it well wide. Murphy was the one slotting him through in the first place, but another missed chance for Hosselu.
Oh, yeah, just watch that Luis save back against Spurs. Man, some good saves from, not surprisingly, De Gea and Luis, the two of the very best keepers in the Premier League, of course. That brings me nicely, actually, on to... We haven't touched on the top 5 most tweeted players of the transfer window. Unsurprisingly, who's number 1? I mean, Arsenal dominate this. Not surprising for a number of reasons. Firstly, because they've been busy, but also Arsenal fans are quite busy on social media, as we know. The 5th most tweeted player of the transfer window was Olivier Giroud. 4th, Henrik Mkhitaryan. 3rd, Philippe Coutinho. 2nd, Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang. And... no surprises. The most tweeted player of the transfer window. Any guesses?
Sanchez.
Charlie Misonda.
Alexis Sanchez. It wasn't Charlie Misonda, but that does bring me on to Charlie Musonda.
Oh, yeah.
We'll crowbar that one in. Chris, you're a Celtic fan. What did you make of that deal?
I am. I'm very excited about it, although rumour has it that we paid a £5 million loan fee, which I can't see myself. Our transfer record is still $6.5 million. That was Chris Sutton about 55 years ago. So $5 million, it seems pretty substantial for an 18-month loan deal. I think we're only prepared to pay $8 million for Paddy Roberts as well, who's a little genius. Absolute don. Love him. But Charlie Musonda, I'm happy. We signed Lewis Morgan from St Mirren, centre back, and Marvin Comper from RB Leipzig. Exactly who. So pretty happy about this one.
I think he's happy. Alex, back to you guys. What have you got for us?
Yes, we've spoken quite a bit about the importance of game time ahead of the World Cup. So this question is about Joe Hart. Should he leave West Ham to revive his World Cup chances and be the #1 for England?
Should he leave, but where does he go? Who will want Joe Hart at the
We were speaking
moment?
about this in the office, and we were trying to find a home for him in the Premier League.
He's not a stray dog, mate.
I reckon Liverpool.
Really?
Yeah, basically just because Liverpool's
Liverpool
two keepers
fans,
are
look, you've got to
minilating
put that out on
Karius.
social. Would
And
Liverpool fans
I'm not
want
a massive
him?
fan of Joe
Okay.
Hart.
Really?
Okay, Alex, you want to put a question to...
Put that out.
I'll
Yeah,
do it right
go on.
now.
That's a big one.
Okay.
You're not agreeing with Alex there, Alex?
No, I can't see him fitting in at Liverpool. I'm struggling to place him anywhere at the moment. I think Joe Hart has definitely lost something about him that used to be there those years ago that made him stand out and kind of be that #1. I don't even see him as #1 for England at the moment.
He's got similarities with Lloris, hasn't he? In that not Lloris, sorry, Mignolet. In that he can be an amazing shot stopper and then just prone to a big error that costs his team. So, yeah, I agree with you. I think
there's always an error, though, isn't there? You just never...
But Fraser Forster's not grabbing the #1 spot. Jack Butland keeps getting injured on international duty. Who's going to be #1 for England?
For Liverpool, Jack Butland for me is England's #1. I think it's an easy decision for me. His only downside is that he keeps getting nasty injuries, which is a real shame when he's playing well. I was surprised Liverpool didn't come in for Jack Butland at the time. It's no surprise that Liverpool need a keeper, and I think that he was a natural fit. Let's talk about the England goalkeeper situation then. For me, it's Jack Butland. Talking about Joe Hart, do you think he'll struggle to even get in the England squad then? At the minute?
Not in the squad, I think, because of his experience and what he brings. He's been to World Cups. But personally, the #1 spot, I don't think is for him.
OK.
I'm in full agreement. I was a big advocate for Fraser Forster, but that was about 2 years ago when he was making 3.5 saves per goal he conceded, which was up there with the very best in Europe at the time. He's fallen off a cliff. I like Joe Hart, I like Forster, but still, there's no outstanding candidate for me. I think it's there for someone to grab. I really do.
Yeah, well, I'm not an England fan, but I think it's still a pretty decent complement of goalkeepers to have Hart, Forster, Butland, and of course you've got Pickford available.
Oh my goodness,
I'd probably go for Pickford overall, I think.
OK, Joe, back to you.
Oh, Leicester have just had a great chance to equalise. Kelechi Iheanacho, Pato's favourite player, has come onto the pitch, and he has had a fantastic chance from about 3 yards out, just in front of the keeper. He kind of...
Oh, my goodness.
From the corner, the ball is played in, another player heads it down, and Iheanacho is stood in front of Pickford and flicks the ball upwards. It hits the crossbar, and then it hits the post. So unlucky not to score. It would have been a fantastic finish by Kelechi. But he is on the pitch. We've also got Carrillo on the pitch for his Southampton debut as well now. So plenty of strikers coming on because a lot of teams need goals. And Ajoa is also on. Finish it, Martial. Oh.
He's doing a great job, Joe, isn't he?
Joe, yeah, much improved second half performance, Joe. Great job. Interesting to point out as well, Spurs versus Man United, that is a Premier League record attendance, 81,978 people at Wembley for Tottenham against Man United, which is currently still 2-0 Spurs. But it looks like a very open game, that. And big chance for... Charlie Adam, is that? Shaqiri, sorry, Joe?
No, I think it was Peter Crouch at the back post, like
Young
flicked it
Peter
on,
Crouch.
and then Crouch had a great chance, leaping like a baby giraffe, just got off the ground, and then should have probably done better, but the ball was not coming at him with any pace. He had to generate his own pace and just couldn't. So I think, what is the score in the Watford-Stoke game? I'm so bored of it.
You tell us, mate, you're watching it.
I've forgotten, it's 0-0, I think.
It is 0-0. I can confirm Stoke versus Watford is still 0-0. Probably we haven't covered it as much yet. We need some action in the Stoke versus Watford game. Let's talk about transfers as well.
Nothing much at the moment. Mahrez, there's inklings, but again, nothing certain. I'll be hitting that buzzer, hopefully, once more for the rest of this live stream. I do have a question, though, from two people, Dr. Chaos and Dawid Kalinsky, and they ask, How do you think Batshuayi will fare in Dortmund, and will he be a good enough replacement for Aubameyang?
Oh, geez, that's a hard one. Replacing Aubameyang, already pressure. You need to come in, you need to score goals. But I think from his perspective, he needed to go where the pressure's totally not on him in this country, revive, you know, get some confidence about him. But going in to replace a man that's is done in Germany, it's a big task.
Yeah, you talk about what he's done in Germany, Alex. Aubameyang, 141 goals in 213 games for Dortmund. 97 of Aubameyang's 98 goals in the Bundesliga have been scored from inside the box. It's amazing, isn't it?
Yeah, I had
a
look at Batshuayi's shot numbers as well, and he's only getting off 1 shot a game, and 0.5 of them are inside the box on average. So it's not exactly like for like at this moment in time.
Joe, we've got to go to you. What's going on?
Yeah, another great chance for Leicester. Claude Puel's made a couple of great changes, and it's really affected the game. He's brought on Christian Fuchs and Kelechi Iheanacho, and the game has changed. A great chance, falls to the back post. I'm not sure who it is coming in, but the ball comes to the right winger at the back post, and he's effectively open. It's Matty James, about 8 yards out. The ball falls to him. All he's got to do is tuck it away, and he kind of loses his footing. He's absolutely hammering it down with rain and scuffs his shot into the keeper. So, unfortunately for Leicester, they've missed another chance. A couple of changes for United. Pogba is off for Mata, which is a bit of a shock. And Fellaini has also come on for, I'm not too sure, Lingard, I think he's...
Joe, I want to talk to you about that. I know you're a big fan of Pogba, quite rightly so. He's instrumental for Man United, great player. In a game like this, when you're 2-0 down to a top club as Spurs, why have you taken Pogba off?
I think he might have had a little injury.
Right.
I think he's had a little knock. Equally, we've gone very attacking. Matt has also come on and gone straight up the other end.
And how Sanchez playing Premier League debut, of course, scored against Spurs already this season for Arsenal. First Premier League start. Of course, he played for United against Yeovil in the Cup. This is his first Premier League start. How's he getting on?
Couldn't tell you, mate. Not been watching enough of the game to tell you how well he's playing.
I admire his honesty.
I'm sure he's playing fine.
Injury, though, for Bournemouth, Callum Wilson, that would be a huge loss for him.
Yeah, I mean, he's only just come back, hasn't he?
There are a few injuries tonight. There's been some quite brutal
all those
tackles
games going over the festive period, mate. Catching up with players.
Well, some of them have been some nasty tackles as well. Let's hope that those players are right. Oh, what a shot that was! Was that Eriksen, Joe?
It was Christian Eriksen, absolute howitzer of a shot from about 30 yards out on his right foot. Just skims David De Gea's right hand upright. Really unlucky not to make it 3-0. Fantastic effort from one of Pato's favourite players.
Absolutely. Pings in at them.
That's a great photo for that.
Social corner, what are people talking about, Alex? Is it still Aubameyang? Is that still dominating the news?
Yeah, it kind of is back to Mahrez a little bit, but this one's more of a hypothetical question. And it's targeted to you, Alex.
Is it? Oh, no.
It's, if you could sign one player from Spurs, and it can't be Harry Kane, who would it be?
I was going to say, if he didn't have it can't be Harry Kane, it'd be a very easy answer.
Yeah.
Good question.
The goalkeeper.
Yep. There is.
Yeah. I think we need a long-term replacement for Pritchard, and I do rate him, I have to say.
Yeah, totally agree.
Good choice.
Thank you, thank you.
Totally agree. Good save from Ben Foster.
Yeah, fantastic save. Bernardo Silva.
Oh, wow. What a save.
Yeah, it was a fantastic save. Bernardo Silva has come inside on his left foot. Obviously, he's playing in replacement for Sane, and he's whipped one with his left foot from the edge of the area. Ben Foster stretching out like a bit of spandex to stop that one. Incredible save with his right hand. But Man City still 1-0. West Brom might be hopeful if it continues going this way that they can nick something out of the game.
And Joe, Burnley brought on, they've got Lennon, and now they've brought on George, Kevin and Kuda. A lot of pace now for Burnley with those two up.
Loads of pace down the flanks for Burnley. Lots of changes going on. Players look really, really tired at the moment, and as you alluded to, I think the Christmas period is just starting to catch up. Harry Kane, great chance, poor finish.
Harry Kane's had a few, hasn't he?
Yeah, he's about 10 yards out from goal, one-on-one.
Alex Scott is winding you up. It's all right, isn't it, Arsenal? Where were you last night when Arsenal played Swansea? Because I was there.
Down. Oh, jeez. None of that.
Enjoy the cup of coffee that you made us get. Enjoy that. Alex Emery, back to you.
It's Zach's turn.
It's my turn.
We've got to be fair.
DJ
Ed on Twitter has this question, and he's asking, which Premier League manager has had the worst transfer window this season?
Oh, good question.
I mean, Antonio Conte is having somewhat of a... Well, prior to Giroud was having somewhat of a meltdown, wasn't he? As you alluded to earlier. Ashley Barnes, how he's been linked with Chelsea is beyond me. Bidding 29 million for Carroll, absolute travesty. But he's I think you mentioned it as well. He didn't seem to be under any great pressure from the hierarchy to win the Premier League, but he sort of brought that pressure upon himself, and he's done that in the past at Barry and at Juventus when he sort of wants to be sacked, almost like it's like he's sort of asking someone to push him before he jumps. But I'd say Conte. I think the top managers have dealt pretty well with this window. What do you think, guys?
I mean, I think you've got to look at clubs like Newcastle for me at the bottom that haven't strengthened. Newcastle for me, I mean, just.
But it's out of his hands though, Benitez. He wants players.
They never seem to spend and never seem to get anything in. They've got Kennedy on loan, but other than that, you'd go along with that. You'd think Newcastle would be.
Goal!
Always believing. What?
Joe, there's been another goal. Tell us who.
Yeah, I think it's Sam Vokes against Newcastle. Rafa Benitez, he must be fuming at the lack of transfers because Burnley. Is that 1-1 in the Burnley game? I can't remember. There's so many games going on. But
1-1, Joe.
At the back post, 1-1 Burnley Newcastle from a corner. Soft goal to concede, and just flicked in off the underside of the crossbar. Sam Vokes with the goal.
I'm just looking at
the first shot on target in the entire game for Burnley.
That'll go down.
Joe, Man United, Tottenham. Heung-min Son just had a big chance.
Sean Dyche robbery going on up north, but apparently Smithy's seen a chance because I was watching another game.
Spurs are all over Man United in this game.
Getting battered,
Heung-min Son, goal, Manchester City. Kevin De Bruyne has scored. Forget the Tottenham chance. Sterling's laid it in. Kevin De Bruyne has tapped it away. 2-0. Against West Brom. Kevin De Bruyne carrying it through the midfield, beats one challenge, lays it onto the left-hand side to Raheem Sterling, who pulls it back onto the penalty spot. Kevin De Bruyne taps into an open net. 2-0 to Manchester City. Manchester United struggling under a bit of Tottenham pressure. And as I said, Burnley have scored through Sam Vokes.
Who got yellow carded in that game, just off that celebration?
I have no clue, Alex. I'm watching about 15 games.
Okay, I'm just testing you.
It keeps going up. The amount of games keeps going up.
Well.
Yeah, mate, she's rattled you there.
You're really testing Joe tonight, aren't you?
Because I think he's doing a great job, you know.
Oh, look how sad he looks.
What else are we talking about?
Oh, let's go around with the same question.
Same question,
because,
what was it?
Newcastle, I think Rafa Benitez has struggled. But also West Ham, because when you look at their squad last night, struggling to put out a team, really. I think 13, 14 players injured or with suspension. And they've been linked with so many names, but...
I know, just when it's
Alex, there's been an embarrassing moment in one of the games, and I'm looking at the pictures now. Joe, Marouane Fellaini's just been subbed off, but wasn't he just subbed on?
Yeah, he was. He's been out injured for a long time. It looks like he couldn't... Came on in the 63rd minute and he's come off in the 70th, but it looks like he had an injury going into the game. Mourinho's obviously risked him, and it's not worked. He's had to come straight back off. I think Ander Herrera has come on to replace him. So option B has failed. Mourinho's going now back to option A, I suppose.
And he went straight down the tunnel, Joe, as well, didn't he? He didn't look happy for Fellaini there.
I think he's definitely... That injury is obviously still a problem for him.
Scotty, I want to come to you there. It's an embarrassing moment for... Has that ever happened to you, getting subbed off? I imagine it hasn't in your glittering career, but that is a moment for a player.
It's one of the worst.
Is it like getting nutmegged? It's the ultimate. You don't want that to happen to you.
Yeah, and do you know what? I remember, I won't mention her name because I don't want to embarrass her, but we always used to talk about that thing, saying it would be the worst thing to happen to a player. And then one game it happened to her playing for England. She was like, that is it, I want to retire. She was like, how embarrassing is that?
I'm normally delighted when I get subbed.
I mean, the levels you both played at, Chris, are slightly different. Chris Hammond,
what are you talking about?
FDFC's captain,
He was absolutely sensational against your team.
He was sensational against us.
I subbed him off, subbed him back on.
Did a lot of running.
He was great.
Let's not give away the ball. Seb's in my ear saying, don't give away the scoreline. We haven't run it yet, but we can promo it. Soccer played FDFC in a recent fiction. It will be on our YouTube channel very soon. Make sure you subscribe to the YouTube channel and like the video. Zach and Alex, back to you guys.
Absolute pro.
OK, so the next question is about Cristiano Ronaldo. Obviously, he's been rumoured with a move away from Real Madrid. If he does go, where should he go?
Where does he go,
Where does he go?
I think there's very few clubs that could afford to pay Ronaldo what he would demand. Paris Saint-Germain being one. Maybe he'd be interested in going to America, setting up his own club as part of a move there.
At this point in his career, you think he's already ready for that?
No, not for a couple of years at the very least. I mean, he signed a new long-term contract, didn't he? Until I think it was 2022. But we spoke to Guillaume Balaguer about this, and he was saying that Ronaldo is determined to see his career out at Real Madrid. Okay. So you've got to take it from Guillaume when you get little inside tips like that.
Can you see him ever leaving Real Madrid, Scotty?
No, I can't. And the same thing, where does he go? I don't see a return to Man United. I don't see how that would fit. So, yeah, I don't think there is nowhere else for him. I think if he, sorts out his situation at the moment, you know, he's a player that always wants to be winning games and obviously he's frustrated with what's going on at the moment. But I don't see him going anywhere else. Yeah.
OK, let's round up the scores very quickly. Chelsea still 3-0 down at home to Bournemouth. Cesc Fabregas has just been booked in that one. Sorry to bring that up against Zach. Goal scorers Callum Wilson, Junior Stansted and Nathan Aké, of course, against his former club. Everton were cruising 2-0 up against Leicester. Theo Walcott with both. Theo Walcott also having a half chance for his hat-trick. Leicester scored Jamie Vardy from the penalty spot. That is 2-1 Everton at Goodison Park. Newcastle United 1, Burnley 1. Jamal Lascelles with the goal. Sam Vokes, I believe, with Burnley's only shot on target. That is currently 1-1. Sean Dyche again looking to get more points on the board. Southampton 1, Brighton 1. Jack Stevens and Glenn Murray with the goals. Man City now 2-0 up against West Brom. Fernandinho and Kevin De Bruyne. Worth pointing out, as Joe said earlier, Man City very lucky to have 11 players on the pitch. Could be down to 9 men. 2 very bad instances there. Stoke City 0, Watford 0. We haven't given you much insight into Stoke Watford. Not a lot has happened in that one. Tottenham still 2-0 up against Man United. Christian Eriksen and a Phil Jones own goal as well. David De Gea making a few good saves and Lloris making some saves as well. So it's end-to-end that game. Joe, anything else happened since we last went to you?
Not too much, actually, Smithy, at all. So go to social sofa.
Social sofa.
Yes, well, I do want to mention there has been slight news of Alex Song maybe rejoining Arsenal as he was spotted.
Was that not buzzer-worthy?
With the squad. Not yet, it's not confirmed.
Nah, fair play to that.
However,
that's the right call. Right call. Yeah.
Question-wise, this one comes from Sheer Plays XG, and he's asking, should Arsene Wenger leave Arsenal at the end of this season?
Oosh.
Alex, come on.
Tough one.
Got to be one for Alex
still
Scott
a
first.
player. There.
I meant Patrick, come on.
OK, Alex, we'll change that around because, as you know, you are a player. It's not fair. What is Arsene Wenger like? You know him very well. Tell us a bit about what he's like off the field, off the cameras.
He's great. He's one of those, like a Harry Redknapp, you know, you could sit, he has story after story. So fascinating. And look, what he's done at Arsenal is amazing. He came in, turned the club around, everything that he's won. But for me, Arsene's speaking like he is still going to be there next season. And that's the only thing that actually baffles me. Because whenever has there been a manager that has such security in his job, you know, you're in a job, if you don't get the results, you should be under pressure. Sure. So that's the only thing for me. He's coming out speaking like he is going to be there next season. But I don't see how you can do that as a player or as a manager.
Yeah. Pato, from a fan's perspective, big Arsenal fan as we know, are you a Wenger in or a Wenger out?
I've never said Wenger out, but I do think it's probably time for him to go. I think the sooner he leaves, the sooner people will start to appreciate the amazing job he's done at Arsenal. At the moment, people are so angry about the state of the club, but I think that it goes further than Arsene. I think he basically does too many jobs. You've seen other clubs where they've split up this responsibility, a director of football, a technical director, and, of course, a manager. Arsene still does all those jobs himself, and I do think that we're ready for a new manager. I just don't want it... When he leaves, I want us to still be able to celebrate the man and the job that he's done for the club.
2 incidents, Joe. Sorry, Alex, to interrupt. 2 incidents. Kane with a big chance, Joe, for Tottenham, and a bit of a nasty incident in one of the other games as well.
Yeah, Harry Kane with a fantastic chance. On the edge of the area, turns and smashes a shot low to David De Gea's right. Smalling just gets enough of a touch. But the big one in the West Brom-Manchester City game, Rondon has had a bit of a boot out at new signing Aymeric Laporte, bit of a welcome to the Premier League. Off the ball, kicked him just above the knee. Aymeric Laporte didn't make much of it, to his credit, so it looks like that one nothing's really happened off the back of it. Tottenham, though, are finding loads of room against Manchester United. Since Paul Pogba's gone off, United have fallen to pieces. So Tottenham, I'd be surprised if they don't get a third pretty soon.
Yeah, look at that. Spurs all over Man United at the minute. Another corner as well. Need that third goal, you would think, though. A lot of attacking options on Man United on the pitch at the minute. Come on, Spurs. Phil Jones looks... very funny photo of Phil Jones there. Looks very unhappy.
Every single photo of Phil Jones is a funny photo.
There isn't there, yeah. Oh, we haven't seen his face after the own goal, actually, but I imagine it would be quite funny.
There's pictures of him hitting his head on the post. So.
Really?
There you go, yeah.
Social Sofa, I feel like it's time to have a little update from Social Sofa. Yes. Okay. What are people saying? What are they tweeting, Facebooking?
This is one which came earlier in the day from Instagram. We put out a post asking the questions and someone said, what was the better deal? Virgil van Dijk for 75 million or Aymeric Laporte for 50...
whatever it was.
57.
50.
Yeah, 57 if reports believe.
Very hard to determine at this point, isn't it?
Yeah.
Laporte, his stats suggest he is going to fit in very well at Manchester City. But Virgil van Dijk, I think, is an absolute Rolls Royce of a player.
You just like him because he played for Celtic.
Mate, he's a centre-back who can take free kicks. He's a certified baller. But I do think that it goes beyond personnel, the defensive problems at Liverpool. I think Jamie Carragher said it himself. It's a very interesting observation that it's more so the system than the player. Do you want to go over to Joe?
No, we're just saying the final whistle has gone at Southampton.
Right, OK.
That is 1-1 Southampton game. Southampton versus Brighton.
Yeah. Chelsea have just lost 3-0.
And Chelsea game is finished as well.
I don't think anyone saw that.
Watching
game at Stamford Bridge is over.
is great.
Chelsea have lost 3-0 at home to Bournemouth. No one on this sofa predicted that it wasn't their day at all. So the first two 7:45 games are over. We've still got 5 games in action, and something's happening over here. What's going on?
Oh, just watching Zach just shaking his head. It's great. I don't even remember the Arsenal score.
Let's get your Chelsea fans' perspective on that result, on your transfer window. Conte.
One word, and one word, pathetic.
I was scared with that.
How are we linked to Peter Crouch, Barnes, and things like this, and we go lose 3-0 to Bournemouth at home, of all places? It's ridiculous.
Of all places. Of the 2 places he could have played Bournemouth.
Ake scores against us. We sold him to Bournemouth. It's a comedy story.
Oh, sorry, can I just ask, because it's easy to say, oh, it's pathetic, it's this. What do you want to see happen? What is the actual problem?
We want solutions, Zach.
Get Peter Crouch in.
But this is what I don't understand, is that for some reason Conte, well, I assume Conte, the whole thing with Chelsea and the transfers is a bit of a mess. I think Conte is like the 3rd man in charge when it comes to transfers. But obviously he wanted a target man. And then we've gone and got Olivier Giroud, who I think is OK. I think Edin Dzeko would have been even better. I think he's better quality. Defensively, I've seen some of the goals. It's not great. And I think Christensen is probably partly due to that because he's come off. I think it was Rudiger that's come on. I think Rudiger is fine. I just don't think he's that great.
He seems to be getting a lot of his 2nd, 3rd choice targets, doesn't he?
Yeah,
which must be frustrating.
Yeah, there are very few slam dunk transfers.
So obviously we wanted Alexandro and we got Marcus Alonso. Again, we wanted Alexandro, we got Emerson. It is very much that. I feel like Conte goes to the board and goes, I want this player. The board try and get that player, then realise they want this much, and then the board come back and say, we can't get this guy, but here's the B or the C choice.
The loss of Michael Emenalo, who of course is the technical director for Nigerian footballer. Who's now gone off to Monaco. He signed 16-year-old Pietro Pellegrini from Genoa as well. So that guy seems to have been... I wonder if Emenalo's role was simply just to say, please don't do this stupid thing at Chelsea for the last 15 years. And he's done a really good job.
And now that he's gone, it's all gone wrong. However, I would like to say, maybe this is the start of Chelsea bringing in their youth. Ethan Ampadu, I saw on the FA Cup, played for about 15 minutes. Quality. Pedro should have scored from a ball that he's put about 40 yards over the top. It was beautiful.
You have just given us Miss We've
got to go back to Joe. Joe, a couple of full times. Newcastle game, I believe, finished as well. 1-1 that one.
Yeah, another Sean Dyche robbery. I think they had 1 shot on target in the whole 90 minutes, but managed to squeeze it in. Story of their season almost. Don't shoot very often, but score a lot of goals. Rafa Benitez doesn't look very happy. Sean Dyche, Sean Dyche is happy because his sides never shoot and still score goals. I don't know how they do it. The Stoke-Watford game is super dull. I think Everton have won 2-1. Man United struggling to get out their own half against Spurs. Sam Allardyce, will he be happy with 2-1? I suppose he will. Theo Walcott, the signing, his new signing coming in. But Stoke have got a chance here. Great defending by Watford. That is probably the best moment of the entire game, and it's been appalling. Kevin De Bruyne as well hit the bar from the halfway line, so...
Yeah, looking at the weather at Goodison, it's absolutely hammering it down. Everton winning that game. So 3 games currently going. All the 7:45s have finished. There's 3 8 o'clock still going. Man City 2-0 up against West Brom. Fernandinho and Kevin De Bruyne. Kevin De Bruyne with an assist and a goal. A fantastic performance. Stoke 0, Watford 0, as Joe said. Very little to report in that one. And Tottenham still 2-0 up against Man United. Very open game, though, that looks like. The other 4 have all finished. Just the 3 remaining 8 o'clock games. Predictions for the final 3 games? You see Man City and Tottenham holding out? Chris?
I've already looked at full once today with predictions, so I might steer clear. But
Stoke-Watford, are we going to see a goal in this game?
I hope so.
There's
one man who can make it happen, right? Shaqiri. Everything's come... All of their attacking play, I think 40% of their attacking play this season has come through Shaqiri. The man built like a tree stump, but a good player.
Though there is that left wing of Watford. There's Richarlison and Zechela on the left, and I think that could be quite dangerous as well.
Sorry, can you just do the pronunciation again?
That's classic.
Zechela, he's a Dutch left back, yeah, he's been really good since coming inside. Really good on the attacking end. No? Well, you can say that if you want, but you sound like
Can I interrupt? Because remember back earlier in the show I said about Joe Hart. And I'm smiling, so that kind of indicates what the result of this poll is. But I put a poll out on Twitter.
Reading.
I said, help us settle a debate from our show. If Joe Hart went to Liverpool, where would he be in the pecking order? First, second or third? And the results are in. 53% of people think he'd be first choice.
Isn't that more of an observation of your fans?
OK, Alex Scott, right to reply to Alex Emery. What do you want to say?
See, that wasn't the original question.
No, it wasn't.
If I was going to put him in the pecking order of that, of course I'd put him first. The original question was, would they want him? If they could pick a keeper, Joe Hart wouldn't be the first choice keeper that Liverpool fans
But if we're going to rank the Alexes, you are now number 6.
So, Alex, you need to do another poll, by the sounds of it, so that Alex Scott doesn't win the other argument.
Do you want another poll? Because I've got another poll.
No more poll.
Oh, my God, he's got another one.
Pereira.
A chance for Watford, Joe.
Yeah, fantastic work by Deulofeu, dancing down the wing. He just nicks past the Stoke left-back, chips it up, back post, scrambles around in the area, falls to Pereira, who has a fantastic chance. Proper shinner of a shot. And Butland just pushes it around the outside of the post for a Watford corner, but it's fullscaleshin.com, that is, from Pereira.
OK, let's round up some of the big deals of this January transfer window, as we've spoken about. Virgil van Dijk with big news when Liverpool signing for 75 mil. Ross Barkley, we've spoken about 15 million. Everton to Chelsea. Theo Walcott, 2 goals tonight. Arsenal to Everton, 20 mil. Sanchez, Mkhitaryan swap deal. Kennedy on loan from Chelsea to Newcastle. Their only real signing. Aaron Lennon, Everton to Burnley. Deulofeu, we've spoken about. Barcelona to Watford on a loan deal. Laporte, who started for Man City tonight. 57 million from Athletic Bilbao to Man City. Lucas Moura finally became a Spurs player today. 25 million from PSG to Spurs. Aubameyang, Emerson, Daniel Sturridge on loan. Coutinho. It's been a good window, hasn't
good
it?
effort, that, mate.
It's been a very good window. Apparently, Dele Alli's involved in a bit of an altercation. Joe, what's
It's a bit of a man out of a molehill. He just tripped Alexis Sanchez. Better chance at Manchester City, though. Brahim Diaz, who's come on, has a fantastic effort when Raheem Sterling is running through. Brahim Diaz tries to slot it around Foster, who saves it. It falls to Bernardo Silva, whose shot just goes past the upright from the edge of the area. But I have to say, it's looking like Tottenham are going to hold out, City are pretty comfortable, and Stoke-Watford, the fans are in comas.
Berahino's just come out onto the pitch, mate, so,
Makes no difference.
He's not scored in 15 months, has he? But
how long left, Joe, roughly, for the 8 o'clock kickoff?
I think there's about 5 to 6 minutes, depending on stoppage time, left in the 8 o'clock kickoff.
Top effort, to be fair, Joe. Top effort.
And the Spurs making a sub.
Here comes Moussa Sissoko. What a player.
Had a lot of game time for Tottenham. Lot of game time.
What's the chant about Moussa Sissoko?
He's terrible.
The Gareth Bale one? We don't need Bale. Oh,
Wake me up before you go. Who needs Bale when you've got...
There you go.
Is that another injury for Man City?
Is that another injury, Joe, for Man City? Tell us about this one. There's a lot of nasty tackles in this game.
The Man City-West Brom game. That's a tasty tackle.
That's waist height. What's
and Matty Phillips on Brahim Diaz, he's come through at... He's come through at his waist height.
Royal Rumble.
Waist height studs up. As Brahim Diaz is going through.
Here comes Spurs.
Horrendous tackle. Phillips lucky to stay on the pitch if he does. Brahim Diaz doesn't seem to be injured, thankfully, but he's come through at full pace, waist height, horrendous. We've had David Silva and we've had the Fernandinho stamp in this game. There should have been 3 definite red cards, and I think there has been 0 unless Phillips
looks like a dangerous free kick.
Also, Pep Guardiola is moaning heavily to the 4th official, as he's been doing all week about the treatment of his players and protecting his players. Yet in this game, 2 of his players have been filth. So this just adds pads on.
Yeah, it seems to Joe, isn't it? Pep Guardiola all week talking about, particularly after the Cardiff game, that Leo Sané injury, talking about if players need more protection. There's been some horrible challenges in that game. Spurs substitution, who's coming off?
Oh my
Dele Alli,
I think Dele Alli's coming off. I'm not sure who's coming on just yet, although it might be
Sissoko, I'd imagine.
if he hasn't already.
Yeah, Pep Guardiola is still having words with the fourth official. He's not livid, in fact, on the touchline. It was a disgusting challenge. I think you can see all of our reactions, how high that was. Yeah, very, very bad.
I mean, that'd be applauded at Sunday League level, wouldn't it? But Alex, if someone did that on your team, would you say to him, like, chill out?
Well, that could end someone's career, that tackle.
As a professional, you just like, even if you're your teammate, just like, what are you doing?
Yeah.
Joe, back to you. Spurs free kick on the edge of the box.
It's a fantastic chance for Tottenham Hotspur. Free kick right on the edge of the box. Favours the right footer. Looks like Harry Kane set it down, but Christian Eriksen has also set it down.
Don't forget, if Harry Kane scored, this is his 100th Premier League goal. He'll be the second quickest player in Premier League history.
What an idiot. Well done, Smithy, mate. Fantastic work that from Adam Smith, just already shooting his bolt early.
Wow. Apologies for any offensive language you may have heard from the other side of the studio there, but Harry Kane did not score. Right, social corner.
Well, I'm going to give you a roundup of some transfers that haven't quite happened yet. Midfielder Ibrahim Amadou is desperate to join Crystal Palace, but Lille are now refusing to sell him. He's apparently pleading on the phone for it to happen.
Wow.
They value him at £18 million. And also, this is one for our Doogie at Football Daily. Middlesbrough striker Ashley Fletcher has arrived on a loan move to Sunderland.
Oh,
there you go.
Ashley Fletcher?
Former West Ham youngster.
Yeah.
Man United youngster.
That's
Man United youngster.
The question, though, comes from Diego Calderon, and he asked, where will Antoine Griezmann fit best? Barcelona or Manchester United?
Interesting we haven't touched upon Griezmann. Interesting we haven't mentioned him. Where do you think he would fit?
I'm happy to take this, guys.
Go on, Berahino.
Sido? No, maybe not. I actually think Barcelona are the front runners now for Griezmann. I think Dybala is more likely to go to Real Madrid, Griezmann to Barcelona. Sorry, I'm choking on a sweet. Despite even when Ousmane Dembele returns from injury, Valverde's going to have major headaches how to get all that attacking talent in the same team. I think he might have to play a 4-2-4. They've also been linked with Arthur from Gremio for 25 million. That looks the more likely transfer in January. But I think Griezmann to Barcelona might be on. Guys, have you heard anything else?
I haven't heard anything else, but from a player's perspective, when Barcelona come calling, that's a hard one to turn down, isn't it?
Duggan,
Even
right?
though...
You've got to your mate Tony Duggan, obviously left Man City to Barcelona. Have you spoken to her since she's made that move?
I actually went out there, interviewed her over there, and she's totally loving life, embraced everything, learning Spanish. It is different because Barcelona's women's side isn't on the same level as, obviously, the men's side. They're building, so they're bringing in big players like Tony Duggan to build for their Champions League mount.
Go! I was going to ask you how their women's team compared to our women's teams, but
we're going to have to go to Joe. Joe, a couple of instances. Daniel Sturridge had a big chance for West Brom, and now Man City have just taken.
It's 3-0. It's 3-0 to Manchester City. Sturridge had a fantastic chance to make it 2-1 at the other end, missed an open goal on the break, but City have gone up the other end. Raheem Sterling with the assist, slots it through to Sergio Aguero on the right-hand side of the pitch.
What a finish. And
Sergio Aguero has just dinked it over Ben Foster, who rushes out, commits quite low. I probably should have done a bit better, Ben Foster. Easy for you to say. And Sergio Aguero's just dinked it over the top of him into the net. 3-0 Man City. Game well and truly over there. And Manchester United not really doing much. And Stoke Watford is sadly still going on.
Smithy, that is his 23rd goal, I believe, in 27 games. Outrageous.
Do you know what I'm confused by? Why they were going after Sanchez when they have a player like him? Where would they have both fitted into the team? I don't...
Yeah, more so Sterling, I think. Like, how can you display Sterling from the right-hand side where he normally
Sterling,
plays?
Let's talk about Sterling. He's been a revelation this season, isn't he? A completely different player. I mean, is that all down to Pep, do you think? I mean, how much do you put down to Pep?
I'm inclined to say yes as well.
No, I really do. I think sometimes a player like Raheem Sterling, he needs a manager that's going to invest time and an effort with him on the coaching field, on the training field and on the coaching sense. Because you could clearly see he has the potential, but he just needed someone to tell him, educate him about his runs off the ball, his runs infield. And then that's what we're seeing this season. Just someone investing that time in him. And so I think it is down to Pep.
Yeah. Well, also, it's timing, I think. Like, quite often when players hit 23, particularly attacking players, that's the point at which they kind of make the leap and you see what they're going to be like in their peak. We saw it with someone like Griezmann. He had that amazing season with Real Sociedad and then moved to Atletico Madrid the next year. You saw it with someone like Aubameyang just the season before he joined Dortmund. And so to get Pep right now, just as he's going 22, 23, now 14 goals and 4 assists this season. Well, 5 assists now. Yeah. I mean, it's absolutely sensational. I'm really delighted for him as well because I think he's suffered quite a lot of bad press attention during his career and I've never really understood why.
I think that's because of the fee he went for and how much promise there was. Do you think there's an issue with young players, certainly, when they peak so early in their career, the expectation on them, particularly young English players, you see, is just so high.
But he got very personal at times with Raheem Sterling, and it was totally unwarranted. A young man, just because he was spending a bit of money that he was earning, you know, like every other footballer. I agree. It was just a bit shocking at times.
Yeah, I don't think you can overlook the fact that I do think that certain tabloids have an agenda against young players, and I think particularly a racist agenda against certain young players as well. I think we see Raheem Sterling. Yeah, he earns a lot of money, and people object to that, despite the fact that he's paid at a rate that I think is commensurate with his talent. So, I don't know, for whatever reason, we saw it at Barkley as well. We've seen it with Rooney before too.
And hats off, you've got to give credit to Raheem Sterling as well, because players need to be able to take that information on board and then go and apply it. You have to have the right mentality, so it's credit to him as well.
I read a great book by Ralph Honigstein. It's about Pep's time at Munich, and he was obsessive with like these young players. I think Højbjerg is at Southampton now, was one, wasn't he? And you do read about how he just spends like hours after training with these players, and you just think, if only I had a manager like that. And obviously it's paid dividends.
It's paid dividends. Yeah, it looks like Man City. That Man City game looks like they will win. Well, they'll definitely win that. West Brom got to do something very special. Joe, go to you. What's happening?
Yeah, West Brom have actually had a couple of really good chances. Like I said earlier, Danny Sturridge went through one-on-one, missed, and then missed the rebound as well. But Matty Phillips, who is lucky to be on the pitch, as we spoke about earlier, after a waist-height challenge on Brahim Diaz, on the left-hand side, kind of an overlapping run, and then has smacked it straight down the front of Ederson. Very, very comfortable save in the end, but a good chance for West Brom, but that game's done and dusted. Tottenham also have had a good chance. Tottenham have been far, far better than Manchester United. Eric Lamela on the pitch now, whereas the Watford game, I think even John Moss has got his sleeping bag out now and he's refereeing.
Full-time at Wembley,
full-time at Tottenham Hotspur. Pochettino, obviously the happier of the managers. Jose Mourinho will be disgusted with the 2 goals his side had conceded. I'm sure both of them, their own fault. A terrible, terrible start, and then a calamitous Phil Jones own goal. So 2-0 to Tottenham Hotspur. Man City are riding it out. It's going to be 3-0 there, and I think Paul Lambert is going to start with a draw. So,
no, he won last week, bro.
Oh, yeah, of course. The second game is a draw. There you go, full-time.
That has just, the full-time has gone there as well. Good to see Eric Lamela on. Obviously, Eric Lamela linked quite heavily with Southampton today, but deal didn't... Yeah, Southampton made
Would you like to see him stay or go as a
Glad that he stayed. I think he's been... People forget Eric Lamela was out for a very long period of time as a starting player in those 3 in behind Kane. When he then was out of the team, Son came in, has been brilliant, but I think the injuries that Eric Lamela had, glad that he stayed. I think all the games now have finished other than the Man City one. West Brom have got to do something pretty incredible in 1 minute to turn this fixture around. Social Corner, we are still with us for about another 7 minutes. And don't forget, the transfer window is open for another 1 hour and 7 minutes after us. Do not forget to go into Sky Sports News to see the rest of Deadline Day with Jim White and the team. So, Social Corner, before we wrap it up, have you got any other breaking news for us?
Nothing.
Messi, where's he going?
It's annoying.
I fully was not expecting that, and we have got nothing to offer you. Wolves have signed Ben Stevenson from Coventry. I've got it in my ear. And loaned him out to Colchester until the end of the season. That's what I'm hearing. I will give you more as it comes.
Okay. Zach, have you got anything for us?
I've got you a question, and it comes from no one. They ask, who has had the better season, Alvaro Morata or Lukaku?
OK, so what's Lukaku got 11 goals, Morata's got 10, but I think Morata's got it in less time, right? He's also got back injury. Lukaku had a poor run of, 6 or 7 games. I think both having fine seasons, they're just not carried that momentum from the start, have they? Both, mid-20s, more to come. Morata, I think, the thing if we're making a comparison, and it's quite loose, The thing I think about Morata is even when he's not playing well, he joins in the game. He runs the flanks, he drops deep, he picks up the ball, he brings other players into play. When Lukaku's not playing well, he seems to shut down a little bit, play within himself. So that's my stance. I would say Morata's exceeding expectations. Apparently, we've got to hurry up. So
you've got full-time scenes here at Manchester City. That is the final game to finish. As you can see, Pep Guardiola having very strong words with the referee, not happy about a lot of those challenges. Man City now like 15 points clear at the Premier League. Great night for Man City. Obviously, Man United losing, Chelsea losing as well. Good night, Spurs as well. But Man City are 15 points clear. But Pep Guardiola looks pretty unhappy. Joe, a lot of nasty challenges there. So, does that reiterate Pep Guardiola's point? Or you made a valid point earlier that some of the challenges, to be fair, were from the Man City players as well as West Brom?
Yeah, I think there was some dirty challenges in this game. Fernandinho's almost definitely going to get a retrospective ban for a really bad stamp on Gregor Krykowiak, so that'll happen. Not too sure what Pep Guardiola's got to moan about other than that Matty Phillips tackle, which admittedly was a howler. David Silva should have been sent off as well. There should have been 3 red cards in that game, and I think the refereeing standards in the UK at the moment maybe need a little bit of addressing. I actually agree with Pep. I think the players need a little bit more protection, from the officials. But nevertheless, Man City very comfortable against West Brom on the day. Didn't really get out about third gear.
OK, so let's wrap up all the Premier League action results. Chelsea losing 3-0 at home to Bournemouth. Everton victorious against Leicester 2-1. Manchester United losing 2-0 to Tottenham Hotspur. Newcastle 1, Burnley 1, Southampton 1, Brighton 1. Man City 3-0 against West Brom. Stoke 0, Watford 0, Joe. Very little from that at all, really.
Yeah, just on my phone there, that's how boring it was. Absolutely nothing happened in that game. Can't really tell you any incidents.
Look at him in that armchair, it's like an evil Disney character.
I do, don't I? Just need a cat here. Gerard Deulofeu looked pretty lively, I have to say, on that right-hand side, so I think Watford fans can expect big things from him, and if they can get him and Richarlison on either flank firing, as long as one of their strikers starts chipping in with goals, they'll be absolutely fine. I think Troy Deeney, Andre Gray and Akaka need to start scoring consistently.
OK, and we can see the Premier League table. That is updated now with the results. As you can see, Manchester City, look at that, 15 points clear. Man United in second, Liverpool up to third. Chelsea are in fourth, equal on points, but Liverpool ahead of Chelsea on goal difference. Spurs in fifth, now just 2 points separates Liverpool in third and Tottenham in fifth. Arsenal 42 points down in sixth. Relegation, West Brom, Swansea and Southampton. Yeah, big win for Man City. Bournemouth up to 10th as well, Pato.
Yeah, well, Bournemouth had the possibility tonight of going 9th or all the way down to 17th. They're in 13th.
Incredible.
So it's really, really good. And their goal difference is actually climbing up as well. I think they've now got a goal difference of -8, somewhere like something like that. Yeah. So that's pretty good news because the teams around them are shipping the goals. Actually, on that topic, Stoke and Watford, I mean, it might be boring for us in 0-0, but for their fans, conceding 0 goals in a game is going to be a surprising.
It's a great result.
It took the point out of my mouth. Probably a decent point for both sides.
Yeah, exactly.
Man City, 15 points clear. Are we all saying they have won the league? Is it as good as done?
Yeah, I can't see anything happening there, yeah.
It's theirs to lose, isn't it?
Scotty, as a player,
so.
you've won many league titles with Arsenal. When you're that clear, does complacency come into it a little bit? Do you go to your teammates and say, we've won this? Or is it one game at a time mentality towards
really
the final day?
And then you go into every game and you want to win it. So the complacency doesn't creep in because you still want to go out there and put on a show, put on fantastic football, which Man City are doing. So it is about approaching every game.
OK, have you got any final breaking transfer news?
Breaking transfer news, no. But as we did see earlier in the show... basically...
I love the way Alex is looking at Spiffy like, what do you want from me? Nothing has happened.
I wanted to use the buzzer. It's what it's there for. Use the buzzer.
I will say, though, that people have been asked about Riyad Mahrez. Nothing's happening. He wasn't in the squad, he didn't travel, and at the moment, it seems like it's not going to happen.
Sunderland are bringing in Lee Camp from Cardiff.
That's better.
Oh, amazing.
He owns his own cap company called That's Caps.
Yeah, go on, let's do the buzzer.
Let's go on.
Hey.
Sunderland are bringing in Lee Camp.
Sunderland bringing in Lee Camp. Scott, any thoughts on that deal?
Oh, what's going on?
Of course, top 5 tweets as well from the day. We've given you top 5 tweets of the month. Aubameyang winning that. I think Batshuayi is in 5th place. But Aubameyang has been the most tweeted player That is no surprise, is it? I mean, is that one as an Arsenal fan you're just relieved to have done? Because it was going on for ages, wasn't it?
Oh, yeah, I'm totally relieved.
Yeah, I mean, it's good. Like, as an Arsenal fan, I've now just been, like, sort of battered into submission. Like, I'm just waiting for the season. I'm just waiting for the season to be over, really. I mean, but at least will be fun to watch. The thing that we always had when we weren't winning the league is that we were really entertaining to watch, and I don't think that's really been true over the last couple of years. I think this might be the start of that again. That front line is genuinely exciting. But frankly, I would prefer it if Alex signed for Arsenal's men's team.
Press that buzzer.
Press the buzzer.
Sorted out our defence.
Right, guys, that's nearly all we've got time for. Thank you ever so much for joining us. Do not forget to like the video, subscribe to Soccer and Football Daily's YouTube channel as well. Thank you ever so much, Joe, over there, for watching the 7 games. Thank you.
I'm surprisingly good.
To Chris Hamill, to England Arsenal legend Alex Scott, and also Social Corner for brilliant breaking news as well, Alex and Zach. Thank you very much. Do not forget, there is Jim White. There he is in his yellow tie. Do not forget to head over to Sky Sports News to watch the very last hour of Deadline Day. We'll see you very soon. Thanks for joining us.
Wave.